Disclaimer. The following content is entirely fictional and does not represent real events or people. This material has been edited and adapted from the channel Romance Reverie. Drunk driving is a big problem in the world. One wrong decision can possibly end someone's life. That's what happened to Casey Walker. She and her 2 younger siblings were heading home from a movie when their lives changed forever. "Who are you?" I asked as I got out of my bed. "I am the moon goddess," she smiled. "Oh," I said. "Well, in that case, screw you." "Excuse me?" she asked, taken back. "You heard me," I growled. "I could have a mate." "But nope, she got killed." "I understand that you are mad, Zale, but—" "Mad? You think I'm mad?" I asked, cutting her off with a humorless laugh. "I am way past mad. I'm livid. I had happiness out there. I could have had a family by now. But no. It got ripped away from me." "Okay, well, that was just plain rude," Kenward huffed as he opened my door. "What do you want?" I growled out from under my pillow. I huffed in annoyance as he ripped the pillow off my head. "Time for patrol," he smiled innocently. "I'm gonna kill you," I threatened as I sat up. "Just you. Wait. You can't." He smirked with a wink. "We are immortal." "Yeah? So are demons until you stab them in the heart with silver," I remarked, matching his smirk. Kenward narrowed his eyes at me and scoffed. "Just get ready." I rolled my eyes and got up from my bed. After a couple minutes of getting ready, I was walking out the door. "Ready?" Alvar asked with a smile. I nodded, and we walked out of the building. "So what are we going to do today?" I asked as Maximus talked to the angel that opened the golden gates. "More patrolling," Maximus answered. "No," I drawled out with blunt sarcasm. "Really? I didn't know that." Maximus rolled his eyes. "Yes, but we are going on the other side of town today." I gulped and jumped down as my wings expanded. "How are you feeling?" Alvar asked. "Good," I smiled. My wing was completely healed when I woke up this morning. "Gotta love fast healing, huh?" Alvar winked. I nodded. It definitely comes in handy. We walked for about an hour before Kenward and Maximus walked out of an alley. "Shoot!" Alvar screamed as Kenward spooked her. "Guys, you should have seen your face," Kenward said between laughs. Alvar glared at him and Kenward sobered up mighty quick. "That's what I thought," Alvar scoffed as she continued to walk. "What are you guys doing down here?" I asked as we all followed Alvar. "We need to find a secluded place to talk." "I just got word from Lena about the demons," Maximus said, his voice low and serious. "There's a park not too far from here," Alvar said. We had to walk another block before we came up to a small park. I froze as I saw Ziering Park on the sign. "What's wrong?" Kenward asked as he placed a hand on my shoulder. I sighed. "This was the park that my parents took me and my siblings to every weekend. We can go find a different place if you want," Alvar suggested. I shook my head. "No. It's fine. Better get used to this feeling sooner than later." I shrugged off Kenward's hand and walked towards a giant oak tree that was near a bench. As Kenward, Alvar, and Maximus sat on the bench, I hopped up on a branch and leaned against the trunk of the tree with my eyes closed and my hands behind my head. "Over here, Timmy." I heard a girl's voice. My eyes popped open and I swiveled on the branch. I smiled as I saw my parents with Sammy and Timmy. "Nice throw," Mom said proudly as she clapped. I chuckled as I saw Sammy throw with her tongue sticking out. I clapped slightly as Timmy caught the ball. "Why are you clapping?" Maximus asked, laughing. I looked down and they were all staring at me. I chuckled and pointed towards my family. "The twins are Sammy and Timmy. They are my brother and sister. And the lady in the red shirt is my mom, and the man in the White Sox shirt is my dad. They look like a loving family." Alvar smiled. I nodded as I continued to watch them throw the ball. "They are. Do you miss them?" Kenward asked quietly. "Every day," I smiled sadly, "but I would do that all over again. Just knowing that they get to have a life and grow old. It makes me happy." "Sammy?" Mom asked as she walked up to her. "Where did you get that necklace?" "Casey gave them to us." Sammy smiled as Timmy and her showed Mom. "What?" my dad asked, shocked. She must have left them for us before she died and we just didn't find them until now, Timmy answered. They are to remind us that she is our guardian angel and that she is always watching over us. My mom smiled as she quickly wiped a tear away and hugged them both. You two are right. Casey is always with us, no matter where we are at. I wanted to give them something so that they never doubted that I wasn't here, I explained with a small smile. That was beautiful, Alvar smiled. You are going to be a wonderful guardian angel. You think? I asked. Duh, Kenward laughed. You can kick butt and you are one of the kindest people that we know. I laughed and turned back to my family. After watching them for about an hour, they started to pack up. My shoulders slumped when I saw them start to walk away. Wait! Sammy shouted as she pulled her hand out of Mom's. I forgot my glove. Okay. Hurry up. Mom smiled as Sammy took off in my direction. I turned invisible. Here you are. Alvar smiled as she jumped up off the bench and picked up Sammy's glove. Sammy smiled and took the glove. Thank you, miss. Calm down, she said softly. How? How am I supposed to calm down? I asked, getting angrier. She smirked. A miracle is going to happen, young one. What do you mean? I asked, confused. You'll see. She smiled as she patted the top of my head. Time for you to wake up. She disappeared and everything started to vanish. I shot up in my bed and my body felt all hot. What the? I said out loud as I felt a warmth start in my chest. I started to get scared as my body heated up quickly. No problem, sweetie, Alvar smiled back. Sammy turned around, but then froze. She turned back around and looked Alvar up and down. Is everything okay? Alvar asked, confused. No, it's nothing. Sammy shook her head and smiled. There's just something about you. She can be crazy. Kenward joked with a wink. Kenward, Alvar said deadly. Sammy covered her mouth and giggled. I need to go. But thank you for picking up my glove. I smiled as her ponytail bounced as she ran. I turned visible and jumped down from the tree when my family got in their car. She is so cute, Alvar squealed. I nodded. I know. Come on, guys. We gotta go finish our patrol, Maximus stated as he stood up. Can we get ice cream? Kenward asked as we walked down the sidewalk. Maximus gave him a weird look out of the corner of his eye. You know, sometimes I think you're 5 years old, not 30. So, it's ice cream, Kenward laughed. There's a Dairy Queen 2 blocks over, I smiled. Yes, Kenward yelled as he gave me a high five. Children, Alvar smiled as she shook her head. I laughed, but let out an oof as someone ran into my shoulder. Ouch, I grunted as I held my right shoulder. I'm so sorry. A male voice apologized. I looked up and immediately froze. This man was gorgeous. Deep brown eyes with light specks in them. His hair was dark and it was spiked up a little in the front, and he was tall as hell. No. It's fine, I stuttered as I shook out of it. As we locked eyes, I saw a spark go off in his. His smile slowly faded and he looked at me in confusion. You, he whispered. Let's go, Maximus said quickly as he grabbed my arm. Wait, the stranger yelled as he softly grabbed my other arm. I was spun around right into his chest. I gasped as I felt warmth spread through my body. Zale, the blondie said quietly. It sounded like a warning. This guy's name was Zale. Zale looked down at me in confusion and surprise. I squealed as I was ripped from his grasp. Maximus stood in front of me, his body rigid. Leave, Maximus said dangerously as he glared at Zale. Zale, let's go, the one with light brown hair said sternly. Wait, Zale said as he looked back at me. But. Don't touch her, Kenward said with narrowed eyes. Zale looked at me with a heartbroken expression, but then it turned to anger. Maximus matched his expression and stepped forward. You better turn around and walk away before I kick your butt. Zale kept his glare, but Blondie pulled him back. Let's go. Now, Blondie said sternly. Zale huffed and turned around and walked away. I looked at his retreating figure confused, but then that's when I smelt it. Come on, Kenward said quickly, as Maximus put me in between the two of them. Was that? My voice trailed off. A werewolf. Yes, Alvar said in a serious voice. Why did you guys act like that, though? I asked, confused. All 3 of them were outlined in gold. I know, Maximus said from behind me. Werewolves don't know that angels exist, and neither do vampires. They only think that werewolves and vampires are the only supernatural creature that walk Earth, and it has to stay that way. But we are angels. If someone believes in heaven, then they believe in angels, I said in a duh tone. Not like that, Kenward said as he looked at me. They believe that angels just stay up in heaven, and whatnot. They think we are just like the ones in the stories. White robes, small feathery wings, carrying a harp. That kind of stuff. They don't know anything about guardian angels and who we actually are. Oh, I said in small voice. What was that all about back there then? I'm not sure. I feel like I've heard of that before, but I can't put my finger on it, Maximus said as he tried to think. Maybe he noticed she didn't have a scent, Alvar suggested. Well, whatever it was, we can't let werewolves know that we are here. Even if we look like humans, we can't have them suspicious. He's right, Kenward nodded. We just need to finish patrol and get back up to heaven. I nodded and continued to walk. I swear, if I'm late, someone is going to die, I growled, running through the park. Oh, calm down, Sterling laughed. I wanted ice cream. We have ice cream at home, you know, Harvey said, rolling his eyes. True, but we are right next to a Dairy Queen, Sterling defended. I rolled my eyes, getting slightly annoyed. Watch out, Harvey said quickly. I ran into someone. Ouch, a girl's voice grunted. I quickly spun around and looked at her. I'm so sorry, I apologized. I looked down at her and froze. She was absolutely breathtaking. She had long, wavy, dark brown hair and gorgeous gray eyes. No. It's fine, she stuttered. We locked eyes and that's what got me. It can't be, Cinder said quietly. The miracle is happening. The moon goddess voice drifted through my head. What's going on? I asked Cinder. I can feel her, Cinder said, shocked. What? Feel who? Her, Cinder howled happily. I can feel her. How? I asked. I don't know and I don't care, Cinder said. Dad, Mom, I yelled as I ran out of my room. What's going on? My dad asked as he walked out of his room. She's alive, I whispered. Who's alive, honey? My mom asked. Her, I smiled. Her? My dad asked. Mate, she's alive. I felt my smile slowly slip. You, I whispered. Let's go, the older guy stated as he grabbed the girl's arm and started to pull her away. Wait, I said loudly as I softly grabbed her other arm. I might have pulled her a little too hard because she slammed into my chest. I froze as I felt the warmth spread through my body like wildfire. Is it her? It has to be. But I don't know how, Cinder replied, confused. I'm not picking up her scent. Cinder was right. She had no scent. Zale, Sterling said quietly. She gasped as the older guy pulled her away from me and stood protectively in front of her. Now wait just a moment, Cinder growled. Leave, the man said dangerously as he glared at me. I matched his glare and took a step towards him. Zale. Let's go, Harvey said sternly as he pulled me away. Wait, I said as he looked back at me. But, don't touch her, the other man said with narrowed eyes. I looked down at the mystery girl like my heart was just ripped out of my chest. But that expression was soon gone as my anger took over. The older man matched my angry face and stepped towards me. You better turn around and walk away before I kick your butt. Oh no, Cinder growled. Let's go. Now, Harvey said. I went to run after them, but Harvey and Sterling pulled me back. Don't, man, Sterling said seriously. Something's not right with those 4, Harvey mumbled as he watched them walk off. I couldn't smell them. I nodded. I couldn't either. Are you okay? Sterling asked me. I don't know, I said truthfully. When we touched, I felt warmth, sparks. But that means, Harvey whispered. But she didn't have a scent. None of them did, Sterling mentioned, trying to process the situation. How can a person not have a scent? I asked. It's not possible. Everyone has a scent, Harvey commented. Vampires have a scent and they aren't even living. I think we need to talk to the elders about this one, I said, but only after my meeting with Alpha Dunham. Do not speak about this to anyone. Sterling and Harvey both nodded. You go to the meeting, Harvey said. Sterling and I got patrol. Thanks, man, I smiled. Hey, what about ice cream? Sterling whined. I rolled my eyes and booked it home. Where is this little guy? Kenward asked as we crouched down. I just saw him. I groaned. Wait, Alvar said with a smirk. There he is. I heard a grunt and saw something flying toward our heads. Get down, Maximus shouted just as the giant wolf flew over us. Oh my gosh, Alvar said as she ran for the wolf. How many werewolves are we going to run into today? Maximus growled as he ran after Alvar. You too, watch the demon. Kenward and I both nodded as we jumped up and ran towards the ugly monster. The demon saw us and growled. Angels. Demon. I spat back as I stood a couple feet from him. I heard another growl that rang through the trees. I turned to my left and saw a couple men standing there. Shirtless, might I add. More werewolves. What? One of the men asked as he saw me and Kenward. This whole not letting werewolves know that guardian angels exist thing is going just fantastic. Ah, Kenward sighed. We'll deal with the wolves later. I nodded and charged the demon. The demon wasn't paying attention, so it was easy for me to check him. Oof. He let out as we both landed on the ground. The demon grabbed my arm and threw me off him. I groaned as I smashed into a tree. Ow, I winced as I stood up. That's it. I grabbed my staff and jumped as I flapped my wings. Kenward, duck! I yelled. Kenward turned around and his eyes went wide as he saw me flying at full speed towards him. He fell to the ground holding his head. The demon turned towards the werewolves and took his daggers out. I tucked my wings in, making myself go faster, and rammed into the demon. We both landed on a tree and I heard it crack. I stood up and tried not to fall. No one ever wins with a headbutt, I grunted as I held my forehead. I screamed as the demon grabbed me and picked me up. Guys, I yelled. Casey! Maximus yelled worriedly with wide eyes. You put her down! I screamed in pain as the demon wrapped his arms around me and squeezed. Why? The demon laughed. This is fun. The men growled and started to shift. The demon scoffed. Stupid wolves. Once they shifted, they stalked towards us. The demon turned so I was in front and used me as a shield as he continued to crush me. I heard a thud and the demon loosened his grip. I used that to get out and turn around to see Kenward holding a couple rocks. It was all that I could find. Kenward shrugged. Who's her? My mate, I said. My parents looked shocked. Son, my dad began carefully. That's not possible. The moon goddess showed up in my dream last night, I said. She what? My mom asked. I nodded. She said a miracle was going to happen. When I woke up, this warmth feeling spread through my body. Then Cinder said he felt her. She's alive. Is that possible? My mom asked my dad. He shrugged. I don't know. I've never heard anything like that before. Oh well. It worked. I laughed as I tried to move my arm. Are you okay? Maximus asked as he ran up to me. I nodded as I bent my arm. I'm good. The demon stood up and growled at all of us. Do you ever die? Kenward asked as he pulled his sword out. The werewolves stopped in their tracks and stared at us in shock and confusion. We have a lot of explaining to do, Maximus sighed as he too took his sword out. Just great, I mumbled as I pulled my staff out. We all jumped out of the way as the demon ran towards us. I turned to look at the wolves who were still staring at us. I rolled my eyes and flew over to them. They jumped back in fear as I landed in front of them. Are you guys going to just stand there or actually help? I asked, annoyed. You guys are werewolves. Act like it, darn. The wolves shook out of it and nodded. I turned around and flew back over to Maximus and Kenward. Where's Alvar? I asked as I searched for her. She's helping the wolf out. He got injured pretty bad, Maximus answered. I swung my staff and hit the demon's hand just as he was about to reach for me. That's not good, I grunted as I swung my staff again. One of the wolves jumped and landed on the demon. The wolf dug his teeth into the demon's back and hung on. The demon cried out in pain and tried to shake the wolf off. Hold on, Wolfie, I shouted as I grabbed my silver dagger. I put the staff back on my back and ran towards the demon. I jumped up and clung to the demon's arm. Keep your hold, I told the wolf. The wolf made a sound, and I'm just gonna guess that he understood me. Darn, I said as I missed his chest. Stop moving. I was trying to stab the demon's chest, but he kept moving around to get the wolf off himself. Someone take out his legs! I shouted. I got this! Kenward shouted as he ran towards us. Once he got to us, Kenward stuck his foot out and the demon tripped over him. I let out a yelp as the wolf, the demon, and I all fell to the ground. Let go! I shouted as I raised my dagger up. The wolf quickly let go and jumped back. I brought my dagger down and stabbed the demon in the chest. He gasped for air and slowly started to turn to dust. I sighed in relief as the demon was finally gone. Are you okay? Kenward asked as he grabbed my hand and pulled me up. I nodded and dusted off the demon's dust that got on me. Are you hurt? Maximus asked as he checked my body to make sure nothing was broken or bleeding. I nodded and pushed him away with a chuckle. Just a small scratch. That is bleeding, Maximus pointed out as he threw his hands up in the air. Stop being so dramatic, I laughed. It was from when I got thrown into the tree. We stopped talking when we heard someone clear their throat. We turned around and, of course, standing there was Blondie. Ah, man, I heard Maximus mumbled under his breath. He recognizes him too. At least he won't recognize us. Who are you guys? The one with light brown hair asked. Him too? But where is the other dude? Well, you see, Kenward drawled out as he gave a nervous chuckle. Funny story, actually. Explain, Blondie demanded as he crossed his arms. I sighed. Oh boy, the Alpha will be with us soon, Blondie said as we walked into Alpha's office. What are you guys? Some older man asked, as he stared us up and down. Doug, some lady hissed as she smacked his arm. What? That's not how you speak to them, the lady said with a stern look, then turned to face me with a smile. My name is Cece. Please excuse my husband. I smiled back awkwardly and nodded. It's all right. What is going on? A deep voice asked. I gulped as I felt the familiar tingles go down my spine. Maximus glared at Zale and scooted closer to me. Zale, Brownie said as he pointed to us. Zale stopped as his eyes widened. Holy cow! Zale, Doug yelled. I'm sorry, Dad. But do you not see what is standing in front of us? Zale asked, astonished. I crossed my arms and glared at him. We do have feelings, you know. Zale's eyes snapped to me and they widened even more. How? Zale asked, confused. How could it be? Yes, son, Kenward said as he stepped forward. It's true. Are you guys really? Blondie asked as his voice trailed off. Maximus nodded. Angels? Yes. How is that even possible? Doug asked. There is heaven and hell, Maximus explained. What we are about to tell you, you are to not say a word. Everyone that saw us is in this room and we are going to keep it that way. Got it? Everyone nodded. Good. Kenward smiled as he rubbed his hands together. Story time. Maximus rolled his eyes. We are what you call angels, but more specifically, guardian angels. Will the elders know? I asked. We can ask, my dad said. Let's go ask, I said. Elder Jonah hummed as he tapped his chin. Your mate coming back to life, you say? Yes, Elder Jonah, I nodded. Tell me what happened, he said as he sat down. 3 years ago, I felt something die inside of me, I started. He nodded. Ah, yes, I remember that. You were so cold. No offense, Alpha. None taken. I laughed. Well, I knew something happened to my mate. And no, we do not have the stereotypical white robes, small, feathery wings, and harps. We have been around for millions of years, Kenward added. Our job is to protect Earth, protect humans. What you guys helped us fight an hour ago was a demon. Wait, Zale said, shaking his head. Demon? As in Satan? Alvar nodded. Satan is the head boss for them, just like how God is our head boss. But the moon goddess? Blondie asked, confused. Alvar nodded. Cousins. She created the supernatural creatures, and God created humans and animals. Satan got mad at God. He wanted to be just like him and have his own fun. God didn't agree because, of course, he knew what Satan was planning. But Satan went off on his own, and thus, demons were born. They are nasty creatures, destroying everything in their paths, Kenward added. But they are evolving. Evolving how? Zale asked, but he kept his eyes on me. They didn't have wings before. Angels were the only ones with wings. Now they suddenly have wings, Maximus sighed. We don't know how, though. We think that Satan had something to do with it. Wait, Blondie said as he shook his head and looked at me. How did you know that we are werewolves? Angels and demons are the only ones who know about all the supernatural creatures. Vampires, witches, demons, and werewolves, I explained. No one else knows that angels and demons exist. It was supposed to stay like that. Not our fault, Brownie hissed. Harvey! Cece yelled. Sterling started it, Harvey accused. Sterling scoffed. So how come we aren't allowed to know about you? Harvey asked, confused. Maximus sighed. I don't really know the true reason. God just wanted it that way, and no one questioned it. So what can you guys do? Sterling asked, smiling as he sat down and rested his chin in his palms. Fly, obviously. Kenward laughed. With some heightened senses and being able to turn invisible. No way, Sterling said, amazed. Kenward smirked and disappeared. Sterling let out a yelp and frantically looked around for him. I laughed as Kenward said boo, causing Sterling to jump about 10 feet in the air. That was not cool, Sterling growled. Kenward winked. Yeah, it was. Children, Maximus chuckled, but all joking aside. You guys are the only ones who know about us, and it has to stay like that. No one else from your pack can know. We are being very serious about this. Doug nodded. Of course, sir. We won't tell anyone. Please. Call me Max. Maximus smiled. Doug smiled and they shook hands. Oh. I'm Kenward. Kenward smiled. But you can call me Ken. Alvar stepped forward. I'm Alvar. I love your name, Cece gushed as Alvar smiled. Zale looked over at me expectedly. Casey, I said out loud. Zale, he said as he shook my hand. I gasped silently as I felt sparks, and I quickly retracted my hand. Zale smiled as he stared at his hand. I have a question, Harvey said as he tapped his chin. Oh, good grief, Sterling groaned. What's that? Maximus asked. Since you guys are angels, are you dead? Harvey asked. Kenward laughed and nodded. Yes, that is how God chose us to be angels. Really? Harvey asked. Now look who's interested, Sterling teased. Harvey rolled his eyes. I'm curious. I have a serious question, Doug said. How do you kill demons? Silver, I answered quickly. Right to the chest. Everyone gasped. What? Alvar asked, obviously confused just like the rest of us. They are just like us, Zale said, shocked. Oh, trust me. You guys are nothing like demons, I said. Zale shook his head. No, silver wounds us. It can even kill us, too. Oh, I said, surprised. Demons are a little different, Maximus spoke up. Silver wounds them and slows them down. But in order for someone to kill them, you have to pierce their chests. Any other place will only slow them down. That's nice to know, Doug sighed. We've had a couple come on our land. What? Kenward asked, shocked. That got our attention. Doug nodded. We've never seen anything like them. They just popped up all of the sudden. That's not right, Alvar said, confused as she looked at Maximus. I know. We have to let everyone back home know. He nodded. What exactly were they doing on your land? Hunting, basically, Zale said as he looked between us. They were eating deer and other animals. Since when do demons pop up out of nowhere? I asked. They don't, Maximus thought out loud. We have to go. Thank you for telling us. Doug nodded. Of course, and your secret is safe. Come on, guys, Maximus said as he opened the window. Casey? Zale asked quietly. But I'm guessing Maximus heard it because of how hard he was glaring at Zale. Casey, let's go, Maximus said sternly. I looked over at Zale and sighed as I followed Maximus. Casey, Maximus demanded. I read that a wolf can feel their mate die. That is correct. Something that the moon goddess put in us. It's a blessing, but also a curse being able to feel their mate's pain. Well, it felt like my heart shattered. I was cold and guarded since then, I explained. But the moon goddess visited my dream last night. She did? Elder Jonah asked, surprised. That's rare for her to do so. What did she say? I quickly and excitedly filled them in on what had occurred just moments ago. I ran to the window and hopped up on the ledge. Zale, I said, causing his head to snap up. I'm glad that you are okay. I offered him a small smile, which he returned with an even bigger one. I laughed softly and jumped out the window, my wings stretching out. Wow, I heard them, whispered breathlessly as they watched us fly. I sighed as I looked up at the sky. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and Maximus is going to be furious once he realizes that I snuck out. I couldn't sleep, thinking back to the meeting we had about the demons popping up on Zale's land. They don't just pop up, I whispered to myself. I stood up and started to pace on my old roof. There has to be a reason. But what would that be? After a couple of minutes, I groaned as I couldn't think of anything. You dumb, I mumbled as I smacked my forehead. You should be able to know what is going on. What kind of angel are you? I sighed as I looked down. Oh, that's right. A useless one. I sat back down on the roof and hugged my legs as I rested my chin on my knees. Why did he pick me? What did he see that was so special in me? I was about to jump off the roof and fly back home, but I got a bad sensation. I quickly backed up and tucked my wings in. As I slowly crawled and looked below on the ground, I grimaced as I saw a demon by my old front door. What is he doing here? I whispered to myself in anger. I gasped as I looked at the driveway and noticed that a blue beetle was there instead. What is Haley doing here? I suddenly got extremely worried as the demon put his clay in the deadbolt and unlocked the door. He turned the knob, and that is when I snapped. No, you don't! I screamed as I tackled him. I picked him up and threw him across the street and hit a tree. The tree broke at the impact and fell on top of the ugly beast. As the demon tried to get up, I twirled around and closed the door. I looked back, and the demon shoved the tree off of him. He groaned. Pesky little angels always getting in my way. Well, maybe you should stay in hell where you belong. I shot back. He smirked and dusted off his shoulder. Big attitude for such a small angel. I grinned my teeth and shot forward at him. His eyes went wide, and I slammed into his torso and sent him flying back. Before he could get up, I grabbed his foot and flung him into another tree. He growled as he rubbed his head. You'll pay for that, you little brat. Bring it on, I yelled. The demon growled and lunged at me. I quickly ducked down and brought out my sword. You want to play? He questioned as he brought out a sword himself. Then let's play. I glared at him and flew towards him with my sword in front of me. I groaned as I fell to the ground, but rolled over right before he stabbed me. He pulled his sword out of the ground and ran towards me. I jumped up and flipped over him and kicked his knees out from under him. As he was falling, I used that to my advance to try and stab him. But he kicked my hand, which caused my sword to fly out of it. Darn, I cursed. Tough luck, he smirked as he got up and ran towards my house. No, I yelled. I ran over to my sword and picked it up before taking off towards my house. I flew faster as the demon kicked the door in. Once I got to my house, I ran inside and tackled the demon. You, I screamed as I punched him in the face. He growled and threw me off, causing me to fly into the TV. My dad really liked that. Oh well. I stood up and shook my head and saw the demon leaning over Haley. I gasped as he ran his hand down her face. I yelled and flew towards him with my sword pointed forward. His eyes went big as my sword pierced through his chest. Die, I growled as he sunk to his knees and slowly turned to dust. I sighed in relief as I put my sword away and looked at the pile of dust that was starting to disappear. Casey? I heard a small whisper. My body tensed up as I heard Haley say my name. Oh crap, this cannot be happening. Casey? Haley whispered as she took a step toward me. No. Haley. I smiled as I felt a tear slip out. Casey! Haley yelled as she ran towards me. She engulfed me in a hug and cried on my shoulder. You're alive! Oh shit. I pulled back and looked at her. Wait, how are you alive? The doctor said you were dead on impact. Casey started saying, but stopped when her eyes traveled to my wings. You aren't alive, are you? I shook my head. Hale! What the hell is going on? She screamed as more tears spilled from her eyes. You are dead. Why are you standing right in front of me? And you have wings. That's not normal. Haley, I yelled so I could get her attention. Casey, Haley whimpered. How are you here? I'm an angel. Their eyes went wide with wonder, curiosity, and a bit of disbelief. And the pain? Elder Jonah asked. Gone, I said. What do you think this means? My dad asked. It could mean many things. But I don't know if it's true, Elder Jonah said.
It's true. What could it mean?
My mom asked. A possibility could be that your mate is alive or that you have a new mate, Elder Jonah explained. But I highly doubt that is the case, I said as I stepped closer to her. I did die, but you weren't supposed to see me. What do you mean? Haley asked, getting mad. Aw, shit. Haley may be a very sweet and helpful person, but once you piss her off, you better run for the hills. You've been dead for 3 years, Casey. 3, Haley screamed. I visit your grave almost every single day, but yet here you are as an angel. Or whatever. You couldn't have dropped by so I could see my best friend. I closed my eyes as she continued to scream at me, and I felt a tear slip from my eye. Why didn't you stop by Casey? I opened my eyes and saw Haley crying. I pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry, Haley. She pulled away and stared at me. Why? I let out a sigh. I'm what you call a guardian angel. Or a warrior angel. Whichever you prefer. Haley gasped and looked around the room. Is that why the TV is smashed? I let out a nervous chuckle. Yeah. He kinda threw me into it. Wait, what? Haley said. Is that the red thing I saw you stab with your sword? I nodded. How the hell did I not wake up? Haley asked, laughing. I chuckled. Because you're a deep sleeper. And I mean a very deep sleeper. I just can't believe you're here. Haley smiled as she pulled me in for another hug. I smiled and hugged her back. It's really nice to see you. As I let go, I saw Maximus standing outside the window looking furious. Son of a bitch. Haley? I asked as I pulled her over to the couch. What's up? She asked as she sat down next to me. It was really nice seeing you and all. I've missed you so much, I said with pain in my voice as I closed my eyes. I love you, Haley. You're the best sister a girl could ever have. Casey? Haley asked, confused as I touched her forehead. What are you doing? You can't know about us. I have to go, I said sadly as I closed my eyes and focused. I won't forget about you. Casey, no, Haley screamed as she tried to grab my arm. But she didn't get my hand off in time. I watched with tears and Haley slowly fell back on the couch asleep. This entire thing will all just be a dream to her. I stood up and bent over to kiss her forehead. I'm always watching over you and the twins. I made my way over to the broken door and tried to make it look normal. Which was an epic fail. And 3.2.1. Where the hell do you think you were doing? Maximus yelled as he walked over to me. Saving them from a demon. I snapped back. You snuck out of heaven, Casey. You can't do that. I couldn't sleep. So, Maximus yelled as he threw his hands up in the air. That doesn't give you the right to sneak out, not alone. I glared at him. I can handle myself, and I needed some time to think. Maximus sighed. I didn't mean it like that. I know you can, sweetie. I was just worried. Well, don't, I yelled as tears were streaming down my face. You aren't my dad. Maximus gasped silently and stared at me in disbelief. I shook my head and wiped my tears away before I shot towards the sky. I wish this never happened to me. I woke up and quickly got ready. Staff. Check, I said as I put it on my back. Sword sharpened. Check, I mumbled as I looked at the blade. Let's do this. I closed my bedroom door and made my way to the lobby. I cursed to myself as I saw Maximus already standing there with Kenward and Alvar. Casey. Alvar smiled as I walked up to the group. Are you ready? I nodded and headed for the gates. Is she okay? I heard Kenward whisper. Yeah, she's fine. Maximus sighed. When we finally got the golden gates, they opened and we all jumped down. I got ground, I said sternly as I folded my wings in tighter so I would move faster. I'll go with, Kenward said as he did the same thing. Once we reached the ground, we both turned to our human form when no one was looking. Casey, Kenward yelled as he ran after me. What is the matter? Nothing you should be concerned with, I snapped as I continued to walk towards the forward. Where are you going? Kenward asked as he caught up to me. Patrolling. Remember? I said as I looked up at him. Wait, Kenward said as he stopped in his tracks. We can't go this way. I asked as I continued walking. Maximus specifically told us to not go near Zale's territory. Really? I asked in sarcasm. I didn't know it was this way. I don't know why, but Zale has been on my mind. It's like I can't stop thinking about him. My brain keeps telling me to go see him, but I don't know why. Casey! Kenward yelled as I didn't stop walking. I am not lying to him, Kenward said as he shivered at the thought of lying to Maximus. Don't blame him. I never said that. The more logical explanation is that the moon goddess finally took away your pain. Now you won't miss your mate anymore. But I don't want another mate. I want the one that is meant for me, I said, determined. Alpha, Elder Jonah sighed. I don't think she is alive or you got a new mate. You only get one mate. The moon goddess probably thought that you suffered enough and finally took away the pain of losing your mate. But Cinder said that he could feel her, I added. I just said that he doesn't have to know. I smiled. I turned invisible once I saw the wolves up ahead and jumped up in a tree, high enough where I could turn visible again, but they wouldn't be able to see me or know that I'm here. Kenward followed. Why did you come out here? Kenward asked in a quiet voice so they couldn't hear us. Is it because of Zale? I shrugged. I honestly don't know. I can't stop thinking about him. Ooh la la, Kenward laughed as he nudged me with his shoulder. Someone has a little crush. Shut up. I laughed as I continued to watch the wolves do whatever they are doing. I think they're training. I don't know what it is. I've never felt this way before. Kenward was about to say something, but stopped once a black wolf stopped training and sniffed the air. I could tell by the butterflies in my stomach that that was Zale. He shifted and I squeaked as I covered my eyes. Kenward had to throw his hands over his mouth to stop himself from laughing so hard. What is it, Zale? A male voice asked. I peeked through my fingers and saw Sterling walk up to Zale, which now had shorts on. Thank the Lord. Or was I sad that he put shorts on? What am I thinking? Oh my gosh, I'm an angel. I shouldn't be thinking like this. I don't know, Zale said as he looked around. I feel warm. Like warm from the weather? Or warm as in when you saw that Casey girl? Or angel? Or whatever you want to call her. Sterling laughed. Like when I saw her. Zale mumbled as he swiveled around in every direction trying to find me. I don't know why I'm feeling like this. She's your mate, dude. Sterling laughed. He's right. Harvey laughed as he walked up to them. You're gonna feel that way if you're around your mate. I feel that with Caitlin all the time. I know that, guys, but I don't see her. Zale sighed sadly. Wait, I'm his what? Did he just say mate? I asked Kenward. Kenward gulped and looked away from me. Oh, hell no. Oh, she looks mad. What do you think happened? Her face is so red right now. Is she okay? I wouldn't want to be whoever made her this upset. Those were some of the conversations that I picked up as I marched through the hall. Turns out Maximus had to fly back to heaven because one of the other angels got a lead on a demon that showed up. But I didn't give a shit at the moment. I was on a mission to find Maximus. I shoved open the door that led to a conference room and it bounced off the wall, making a loud crack sound. All heads shot up and looked in my directions. Casey, wait, Kenward yelled as he ran after me. I balled my fists up as I made eye contact with Maximus. Casey, dear, Alvar said softly as she walked up to me. We need to approach this in a calmly manner. What's going on? Maximus asked, confused as he walked my way. You motherfucker, I said lowly. The angels in the room gasped at my behavior, but I didn't give a shit. I was pissed. And when I'm mad, I'm not a pleasant person to be around. Everyone here should know that by now. Excuse me? He asked as he stood in front of me. Casey, what happened? I squinted my eyes at him and he just tilted his head. Is he really playing this game with me right now? This is a serious matter. I have no time for games. You. I said through gritted teeth. Maximus asked. He opened his mouth to say something, but Kenward cut him off. Don't, Kenward said. She found out. What? Maximus asked in a whisper. You knew all along that I had a mate, I stated. Maximus looked like a fish out of water. I normally would be on the floor laughing by now, but I was too pissed. I felt my eye twitch. Why didn't you tell me? Maximus started off, but then he looked kind of mad. Werewolves do not belong with angels, and besides, we have a mission to do. Nothing can get in the way of that. I know we have a mission, and who said it would get in the way of that? I screamed at him. And besides, that isn't your call. Everyone needs to calm down. Please, Alvar begged. Okay, I'll admit. Not telling you was a bad idea. Maximus sighed. But I didn't want you to know, because I didn't want anything to distract you from the mission. So that's why whenever we were by him you wanted to leave? Because you knew I would start to see the signs. That's gotta mean something, right? I'm afraid not, Alpha, he said as he shook his head. He might be mistaking the moon goddess taking away pain as your mate is alive and here, I growled as I stood up. I don't care what you guys think. My mate is out there and I'm going to find her. With one final growl, I slammed the door and stalked down the stairs and headed outside. They don't understand, Cinder growled as I shifted. I shook my fur out and stretched before I sprinted for the woods. I really need a run. So how are you feeling? Maximus asked. Good, I smiled as we sat on top of a building. Are you sure? Maximus asked. You know you can tell me anything. I sighed as I looked out over the scenery. It's just weird, you know? I asked. He nodded. I do know. I still remember my first time. You never did tell me, I said. You told me that you would tell me when I was ready. You are ready now. I was waiting for you to finish training. Maximus smiled. I laughed. Because of one drunk driver, Casey lost her life and her siblings lost their older sister. But God had plans for Casey. He made her a guardian angel. Zale has been the alpha of the Riverwood pack ever since he was 18 years old when his father handed it over to him. Casey was his human mate, but all that changed when she was killed. He felt a piece of him die, and he has never been the same. 3 years later, he felt a change. 3 years of training, and now I'm finally ready to protect Earth. Yes, you are, he laughed. Okay. So I was with my wife at the bank. We were getting money so I could buy Selena her toy. I still feel like it's all my fault. I forgot to get the money the other day, so we had to go get it. It's not your fault. It's never the person's fault, I interrupted. I guess I'm glad that it was me and not her. He gave me a sad smile. We were next in line when it happened. 2 guys barged in wearing masks. The one had a gun and the other had a bat. I remember the one with the bat walking towards the cashier demanding money. And the one with the gun? I asked. He locked eyes with my wife. Maximus's voice cracked. He raised the gun and I thought I would lose her. That's when I pushed her aside and took the bullet instead. I would do anything for my wife, and risking my life to save hers is worth it. I would do it over and over again if it meant her living. That's when I heard the sirens. The cops rushed in and took the 2 guys away. I remember seeing her face show up in front of mine. She was yelling for me, but I couldn't hear her. And that's when God himself made an appearance. I smiled at Maximus's face. He looked so happy. He told me I was worthy to become a guardian angel. And I did, the angel said, looking at me. I can check on my wife every day and see how Selena is doing. Did they ever find out who did it? I asked. He nodded. Turns out it was her ex-husband and his brother. He was still mad that she divorced him. But he cheated on her, I said. How could he possibly be mad at that? Because some guys are stupid. Maximus laughed. I nodded. Got that right. He went to open his mouth, but he was cut off by a scream. Let's go, he said. I nodded and we jumped off the building. I pushed my wings out and I was gliding through the air. Do you see anything? Maximus asked as we both looked for the scream. I shook my head. No, I don't. Wait, I yelled as I saw the man outlined in red chasing a woman. There, nice eye, Maximus smiled proudly. You want to do this one on your own? I smiled with a nod. Yeah, I do. Maximus laughed and nodded. You dive down. I'll watch from up here. Call if you need me. Will do, I said, determined as I dove for the man. I landed outside the alleyway. Please, the lady begged. Please don't hurt me. There you are, I laughed as I walked up to the demon and the lady. They both looked at me confused. Who are you? The lady asked. My name is Stacy. I'm really sorry, miss. Is my boyfriend causing problems? I asked. Boyfriend? The lady and the demon asked. Yes, silly, I laughed as I walked up to the demon. My boyfriend and I are heading to a costume party. Well, that's a very good costume, the lady said with a nervous laugh. I really thought he was going to hurt me. Well, he really gets into character, I laughed. The demon went to speak, but I put my hand over his mouth. It was really nice to meet you, miss. But I think that my boyfriend and I need to head back to the party, I spoke up. Right, the lady nodded, still shivering in fear. I love your angel costume, by the way. Thank you, I smiled as she walked away. You little, the demon growled as he took my hand off of his mouth. Yeah, I had an awful time. I think we need to break up. I sighed as I grabbed my silver dagger and stabbed him in the heart. Permanently. I took my dagger out and pushed him on the ground. He flipped me off before he turned to dust. Nicely done, Maximus said as he landed next to me. A good act, by the way. I laughed. Well, I felt bad for the lady. She was terrified. I wanted to make it seem less scary, but that seemed too easy. You did good, kid, and that was because he was a new demon, recently added to the demon army. He didn't have much training. He smiled as he placed his hand on my shoulder. I think it's time to head in. Actually, I said as I looked up at him, I need to go do something real quick. Maximus gave me a knowing smile and nodded. Sure thing, Casey. Thank you, I said softly as I jumped up and flapped my wings. I soared through the sky looking for my house. Smiling when I spotted it, I flapped my wings faster and turned invisible right as I landed on the roof of my house. I miss her so much, I heard Sammy say. Me too, Timmy said. Do you think we will ever see her again? Sammy asked. My smile widened as I sat down by their window. We will, Timmy said sternly. I bet she is looking over us right now. What do you think she is doing right now? Sammy asked. Probably playing with Buster up in heaven, Timmy chuckled. I laughed. When he wakes up one morning, he felt the feeling of warmth spread through his body and he questions it. Now that his mate is a guardian angel, will they ever be able to be together? This story will have both God and the moon goddess. Since there are guardian angels, there will be demons and Satan. That's what the angels are protecting the people of Earth from. I growled as I heard a knock on my door. What? I asked, a growl cutting through my words. Of course he would bring up Buster. You're right. She loved that dog. Sammy giggled. Who didn't? Timmy laughed. I heard Mom and Dad talking about visiting her grave. When? Tomorrow. Sammy said softly. Mom is still having a hard time. I know. So is Dad. But he is trying to be strong for Mom. Timmy added. I think Dad needs to let it out. What do you mean? Think about it, Sammy said as she got up. Dad never shows how much it hurts. He tries to act strong on the outside for all of us. I've only seen him cry a couple of times. But once he knows either you, me, or Mom is there, he stops. He always tries to act strong, but I can tell he's hurting on the outside. I think we should talk to him about it, Timmy suggested. We will tomorrow, Sammy said, yawning. We should probably sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. You're right, Timmy yawned. Casey? Maximus asked. What's up? I asked into my earpiece. Where are you? Checking on my family. Okay, Maximus sighed. You need to hurry it up. I will, but this is the first time in 3 years that I have seen them, I stated. I know, just make it quick. Once I knew that Sammy and Timmy were sleeping, I quietly opened their window and crawled in. I smiled as they both let out little snores. I've missed you two so much, I whispered sadly. I'll be right back. I made my way out of their room and walked down the hall to my parents' room. I opened the door and saw them both cuddled up sleeping. I closed my eyes and went in their dreams. I looked over and saw my dad grilling. Those smell good, I smiled as I appeared next to him. Casey, my dad yelled as he dropped the spatula and pulled me into a hug. Carrie! My mom looked up and covered her mouth in shock. She then dropped her book and ran over to me. Casey, my mom cried as she hugged me. I missed you guys, I said as I felt a tear of my own fall down my cheek. I can't believe you're really here, my dad whispered. Well, it is your dream, I laughed. That's good enough for me. How have you guys been? I asked as I pulled back. My mom sighed. We've been getting along. You guys do know that I'm always with you, right? My dad nodded. It's just not the same without you here. We miss you. I miss you too. But you guys can't stay sad forever. I smiled. You'll see me again. Haley misses you too, my mom spoke up. I took a shaky breath at hearing my best friend's name. How is she? I asked. Not good, my mom said. She misses you so much. She visits your grave every day. We see her there all the time when we go. I sighed. I wish she would stop being sad. Actually, all of you guys need to stop being sad. Your brother and sister are taking it hard too. We pass their room and hear them talking about how much they miss you, my dad explained with a pained expression. Like I said, I'm with you guys every day. Don't forget that. I smiled as I gave them one last hug. It's almost morning. I will come visit again sometime. Casey, don't go, my mom pleaded. I smiled as I wiped a tear away from her eye. I will come back, Mom. I promise. You can't get rid of me that easily. She slowly nodded and gave me a hug. We will always love you, my dad said as he hugged me tightly. I love you guys too, I smiled as I pulled back. And Dad, I've been watching. It's okay to not be strong sometimes. You can let your emotions out. You have this whole family. My dad nodded. I just want to be strong for them, and that's okay, I said as I wiped his tears too. But it's also okay to let your emotions show. You can lean on them too. My dad nodded. I smiled and kissed both of their cheeks. I will come back and visit again. They nodded and waved as I disappeared. I popped out of their dream and looked at them sleeping. I smiled as they both had smiles on their faces. I walked out and slipped back into Sammy's and Timmy's room. Time to see what you guys are up to, I whispered. I smiled as I closed my eyes and went into their dreams. I opened my eyes and saw that I was sitting in a tree. I looked up and watched them play catch with Buster rolling around in the grass. Nice throw, Timmy, I shouted as I jumped down from the tree. They both turned around and saw me. Buster shot up and ran towards me. Casey, they yelled. I laughed as Buster started to lick all over my face. Hey guys, I smiled as I sat up with Buster still in my lap. Sorry, Casey, Sammy and Timmy said, laughing as they got off of me. We just miss you, Sammy said as she and Timmy sat down next to me. I miss you guys too, I smiled as I wrapped my arms around them. How are you guys? Good, Timmy smiled. We are going to visit your grave in the morning. Ooh. I was just seeing how you were doing, son, my dad said as he stepped into my office. I sighed as I rubbed my face. I'm sorry. I think you should take a break, my dad suggested. I can't. I have a meeting with Alpha Gray next week. I need to get the treaty ready, I said as I flipped through the papers. I wasn't talking about that, he said as he gave me a pointed look. I don't want to talk about it, I said as I took off my reading glasses. I'll be excited to see you, I smiled as I kissed both of their heads. Why are you wearing that costume? Sammy asked as she pointed to my armor and wings. I laughed. It's not a costume. It's not? Sammy asked. Are you really an angel? Timmy asked, excited. I nodded. I'm a guardian angel, actually. That is so cool, they yelled. Is that actual gold? Sammy asked as she touched it. I laughed and nodded. And actual silver. My sword, staff, and dagger are made out of silver. Can I see? Timmy asked. I nodded and stood up. I first took out my sword and dagger. That's awesome, they smiled. Where's your staff at? Sammy asked. I laughed and put my sword and dagger away. I reached behind me and pulled my staff out. Are those gems? Timmy asked, amazed. I nodded. A ruby and sapphire. It's so cool. Timmy smiled as I put it away. I want to tell you guys something, I said as they stood up. What's that? Sammy asked. I want you guys to know that I will always be here for you. Don't think for 1 second that I am not. I am watching over you guys every second of every day, I said sternly. You're our guardian angel, Timmy smiled. I smiled right back. Exactly. I am your guys' guardian angel. That means that I am with you two all the time. I will always protect you guys and Mom and Dad. That makes me feel so much better, Casey, Sammy said as she wrapped her arms around my waist. Me too, Timmy smiled as he copied Sammy. I hugged them back. It's almost morning, so that means that you guys will need to wake up soon. But we don't want you to go, Sammy said worriedly. What did I tell you before? I laughed. That you are always with us, Sammy repeated. I nodded. Exactly. I will come visit you guys soon. Okay, Timmy said. We love you. I love you too, squirts. I smiled as I kissed the top of their heads. Now when you guys wake up, there is a present under both of your pillows. That present will remind you that I am always there for you and you guys are never alone. They nodded and waved as I started to disappear. Once I was out of their dreams, I turned invisible and stood in the corner of their room. Sammy woke up and started to rub her eyes as Timmy slowly woke up as well. I had the best dream. Sammy smiled. You were there. Same here, Timmy said. Casey came and visited us. Sammy yelled as she shoved her hands under her pillow. The present, Timmy said as he did the same thing too. I smiled as they both pulled out a box. A box? Timmy asked, confused. Well, you have to open it, weirdo. Sammy laughed. Oh, right. Timmy smiled. They opened their presents and both pulled out a necklace. What did you get? Sammy asked. A necklace, Timmy said as he held it up. You? Same thing, Sammy said. Wait. Let me see yours. Timmy stood up and walked over. Sammy grabbed his necklace and put them together. We each got a wing, Sammy smiled. And when you put them together, it makes a full set. Casey, Timmy smiled as he put it on. Our guardian angel, she's always with us, Sammy smiled as she put on her necklace. I watched as they walked out of the room. Whoop, whoop, Kenward hollered as I showed up at the gates. Your first demon. Nicely done, dear. Alvar smiled as she folded in her wings. I'm proud of you. She did excellently, handled it like a pro, Maximus said as he proudly smiled at me. It was too easy, though, I huffed. Kenward laughed. That's the Casey I know. Always looking for a challenge. Settle down, children, the big man laughed. I'm proud of you, Casey. Really? I asked as I looked up at the light. He smiled at me. I am. You will make an excellent guardian angel, my child. Your parents would be proud. I gave him a small smile. Don't doubt yourself, young one. You did fantastic for your first demon, he said softly, even if he was a new one. They still are very strong creatures and can't be taken lightly. They are manipulative and you conquered that. She did a wonderful job, Alvar smiled. Thank you, Alvar, I replied. Maximus, God called. Yes, sir? Maximus asked. I think Casey is ready to go on patrol with you four. Really? I asked, shocked. That would be awesome. She's ready, God smiled as he walked away. All right then, we leave at dawn. Maximus smiled as he left for his room. Better get some sleep, Casey, Alvar suggested. You're going to need your strength. Patrol is different. You might face some stronger demons and other creatures, and sometimes we walk around in our human form so we look like regular people, but you have to be careful when you do that. I will, I said with a nod. Good night, dear, she said as she kissed the top of my head. You got this, kiddo, Kenward smirked as he rubbed my head. Your mother and I are worried about you, and I said that I'm fine. I growled as I slammed my hands on my desk. Obviously not, my dad said as he crossed his arms and glared at me. He's got a point, my wolf, Cinder, said in a duh tone. Shut it, I growled. You need to talk about it, my dad said. I growled and looked away from him. What do you want me to say? I felt like I literally died that day, knowing that my mate died. It hurt, Dad. It hurt so much. It still hurts. I playfully shoved his hand away and walked to my room. I closed the door and changed into my human form. With a sigh, I glanced at my mirror. Sometimes I miss my old life. Being able to see my family and Haley. I miss it. I certainly couldn't deny that. But then I remember that I am an angel of God, and that I'm protecting them. I huffed in annoyance at myself for doing so, and turned away from the mirror, getting into my bed. Sleep is my favorite thing to do. Oh, come on, I growled as I continued to flip through the pages. Calm down, boy, Sterling laughed as he took a sip of his coffee. Harvey frowned, looking up from his phone. What are you even looking for anyway? I took off my reading glasses and looked up at them. Anything that has to do with dead mates and them coming back to life. Harvey sighed. Zale, you aren't going to find anything like that. People don't come back to life. I growled and narrowed my eyes at him. Don't say things like that. It's true. I'm afraid he's right, Sterling said as he looked at me intently. People don't come back from the dead, unless they come back as zombies. Now that would be wicked, Harvey said excitedly. Sterling and I both gave him a pointed look. It amazes me how you got the beta position, I teased. You and me both, Harvey laughed as he shoved his face full of pancakes. I laughed, shaking my head as I looked back down at the books. I put my reading glasses on and continued to read. I really don't know what you are looking for, Sterling said, speaking up. I don't think you're going to find anything. I'm just looking for possibilities, I said as I flipped the page. Like what? Harvey asked through a mouthful of pancakes. You're nasty, Sterling cringed, visibly scooting away. Currently, we sat at a diner that was on the northwest end of my pack territory. Anything, I guess, I replied to Harvey, shrugging as I skimmed the pages. Any possible way that my mate could be alive. Do you think reincarnation is a possibility? Harvey and Sterling both looked at me like I was stupid. You have got to be joking, right? Sterling asked. I shrugged. It was just an idea. That was the dumbest idea I have ever heard, Sterling said as Harvey chuckled. Well, damn, I scoffed as I crossed it off the list. Harvey swallowed his food as he looked down at my list. Are you really making a list? I nodded. Yup. What if Elder Jonah was right? Sterling suggested. What do you mean? I asked. He sighed. What if your mate didn't really come back alive or is even on this earth? What if the moon goddess took away your pain? Cinder could easily mistake that as your mate is alive. But the moon goddess said a miracle was going to happen, I defended. Exactly. She could have been talking about you not feeling pain anymore. I shook my head. I don't believe that. I think my mate is somewhere out there. I know what I felt. I continued to look through the pages. Maybe you need a break, Harvey said with a smile. What did you have in mind? I asked. I don't think I want to know, Sterling laughed. Jerks, Harvey huffed. I was thinking we could go for a run. Let our wolves out. He's right, Sterling said as he turned to face me. We haven't gone out on a run in a while, not with us chasing rogues. I think it would be a good idea. I nodded with a smile. That sounds nice. Cinder likes it. Sweet. Let's go, Harvey cheered as he threw his money on the table. We all paid and headed out the door. Once we got to the edge of the forest, we quickly shifted. I sighed in content as I shook out my black fur. This feels nice, Cinder said. I stretched out and nodded. I agree. Ready? Harvey asked as he trotted over to Sterling and me. Let's go, Sterling nodded. Harvey howled and took off into the forest. Come on, losers. That jerk, Sterling growled as he ran after Harvey. I laughed and followed suit. This was actually a good idea, Harvey, I admitted. See, Harvey laughed. I have good ideas. Not all the time, Sterling teased. Some of them are pretty scary. I got to agree with Sterling, I added. Some of them you have to be stupid to go through with. I go through with them, Harvey defended. Exactly, I laughed as Harvey growled at me. Let's just keep running, Harvey huffed as he ran faster. Sounds good to me. I smiled as I chased him. This run couldn't be any more perfect. Hey, Sterling spoke up as he started to sit up. Did you hear that? Harvey and I sat up as we started to listen too, knowing that everyone around me is so happy with their mate. It's going to hurt. I know that, my dad said softly. Maybe you should find another one? Another mate? I asked, angry. He nodded. I think you need to move on. Dad. Have I been with any female? I asked. No, he said. Exactly, I growled. I will not be with another female. I will never be with another female. I'm waiting for my mate. I don't believe in that stuff. Is there something over there? Harvey asked in confusion, also hearing the crunching of twigs and leaves. I think so, I said as I started to slowly take steps toward the noise. Keep quiet. I can't smell anything, Sterling said as he started to get on guard. Me neither, Harvey growled quietly as he looked around. It's coming from over there, I said, nodding in the direction of the noise. We followed the noise and came around a tree. Is it up in the tree? Harvey asked. Get back, I said as I crouched behind a bush as the leaves started to rustle. Harvey and Sterling got down on either side of me and we saw a buck fall from the tree. A mutilated buck. Holy cow, Harvey gasped as he jumped backwards. Oh. My goddess, Sterling said quietly as a black figure jumped down from the tree. What is that? Harvey asked as he gulped. I don't know, I whispered quietly. But I definitely don't like it. The thing was huge. It was black, had red markings all over its upper chest, white eyes, and giant black horns. What did you get? A deep voice asked as it vibrated through the trees. The black creature looked up. I got a buck. I was hungry. So they can talk, Sterling noted. I looked over and saw who he was talking to. This one was equal in size, except he was all red and has black markings on his chest. He also had big black horns, but he also had large, leathery, bat-like wings tucked against his back. What are those things? Harvey asked, thinking out loud. Well, hurry up with that, the red one growled. The boss needs us back. Boss? I asked as I looked over at Sterling and Harvey. My wolf was growing agitated of the apparent threat we have on our land. I've never seen anything like that, Sterling said in a slightly scared voice. Yeah, I know. The black one stopped talking and started to sniff around. Do you smell that? All I smell is the blood coming from the buck, the red one stated. No, the black one growled as he shook his head. I smell wet dog. Rude much? Harvey growled. Never mind that, the red one said as he rolled his eyes. We have to get back or else boss will kill us. You're right, the black one said, agitation evident in his voice. I watched amazed as the red one grabbed the black one and then started to flap his wings. We need to go tell my dad, I said determinedly. I think you're right, Sterling said as Harvey nodded. Are you ready for your first patrol, kiddo? Kenward asked. I nodded frantically. Oh yeah, I am. I'm so excited. Actually, I'm way beyond excited. I think Casey and I will take the streets today, Alvar smiled as she looked at me. What do you think? I smiled back and looked down at the city as we flew over it. I think that would be fun. Sweet, Maximus laughed. Kenward and I got the air above you guys then. There's an alleyway that we can change into, Alvar said as she pointed down below. Let's make it quick. I nodded and followed her down. We tucked in our wings so we could go down faster. Remember, Alvar whispered as we landed quietly on the ground. We have to make it quick and then act like regular people. I nodded and turned invisible as I changed forms. Once the coast was clear, we turned visible again and walked out of the alleyway. You guys in position? Maximus asked through our earpieces. Yes, I said as Alvar nodded at me. This is weird. What is? Alvar asked as we started to walk down the sidewalk. I don't know, I said with a shrug. I guess just walking down my old streets. It's been 3 years. Alvar nodded. You'll get used to it, Casey. It was weird for me too. It was? I asked. She nodded. I wasn't ready to feel all the emotions that I would get. I passed my house on my first patrol. I broke down crying. Maximus told me that it would get easier. It does. But you still feel sadness. That part will never go away. I'm glad that I met him. He's been a real help. He has, Alvar agreed. So I have a question, I said. What's up? Alvar asked as we started to cross the street. When I killed my first demon, Maximus said that he was a new one, I explained as I thought about it. How can he tell? I was wondering when you were going to ask that. Alvar laughed. Demons have horns. The one I killed didn't, I spoke confused. Exactly. Alvar nodded. Demons that have horns are the older and more powerful ones. If a demon doesn't have horns, then he is a new recruit. So, their strength is measured by how big their horns are? I asked, trying to grasp the idea. Alvar nodded with a smile. The bigger the horns, the more powerful they are. I looked forward and nodded to myself. Okay, I think I got it. Just because they haven't found their mate yet doesn't mean that they should go fool around with other girls. I was just trying to help. I don't like seeing you sad, my dad whispered. I felt a tear drop down. Why? Why did it happen to me? What did I ever do to the moon goddess? I don't know, son. I truly don't know, my dad said quietly. I will never understand why this happened to you, but it's late. I think you should hit the sack. Work on the treaty tomorrow. I nodded and sighed. And you already know how to tell if it's a demon or a human, right? I nodded and smiled. If it's a demon, they are outlined in red, and if it's a person, they are outlined in gold. Very good, Alvar said with a proud smile. I'm impressed. You catch on quick. I laughed. Thank you. My parents always said that I was a fast learner. They're right, Alvar said. Guys, Maximus yelled. What's up? I asked as I touched my earpiece. 2 flying our way. Well, 1 is flying, the other is hitching a ride, Kenward explained. Send him down here, Alvar said as she looked up. We'll take care of him. Roger that, Kenward said. How long do you think it'll... That hurt, a deep voice grunted. Never mind. Alvar laughed as we ran towards the voice. That person is going to be so mad, I stated as the demon crawled off the car that he had just landed on. The demon growled and brushed off his clothes. It's even uglier up close. Alvar smirked as the demon stopped brushing his clothes and looked up. The demon growled at us. Buzz off, brats. No can do ugly. I smiled as he narrowed his eyes at me. You're going down. The demon looked confused for a second before a look of recognition ran across his face. He chuckled to himself. Angels. Should have known. Got that right, Alvar smirked as she charged him. I cringed as I watched them go through a building wall. Kinda cool. Kinda looked like it hurt, I said to myself as I ran after them. Damn, little lady, the demon groaned as he stood up. You got some punch, I'll admit. Kind of impressed. Thank you, Alvar bowed before she changed back to her normal form. Ready, Casey? Ready, I smirked as I changed back as well. Huh, the demon said as he looked me up and down. You got a younger angel with you. Yes, I do. And she can kick butt, Alvar smirked. I smiled as I ran up to the demon and punched his gut. Shoot! He grunted as he bent over. I grabbed his head and slammed it on my knee. Right as he was about to fall, I drove my foot into his throat, sending him flying back into the next wall. Nicely done, Alvar said as she ran up to me. Watch out. I looked back and saw the demon get up and brush himself out. It barely put a dent in him, I thought to myself. He cracked his neck and rolled his shoulders. That was cute, he teased. Let me show you how it's really done. I gasped as he lunged for me. I let out a grunt as he smashed me into the ground. The demon jumped off of me and I rolled onto my side as he was about to punch me. His fist pounded into the ground and I used that as a distraction to stand up and get away from him. I bent down just in time as he charged at me and he flew over me. You have to be careful with this one, Casey. He's older and more powerful, Alvar warned. I took a look at his giant black horns that sat on his head. Just great. Let's dance, the demon smirked as he walked towards me. Well, yeah, see. I let out a nervous, chuckled when I took a step back. I'm not much of a dancer. Then I can just smash your face in. Well, that was just rude, I said, glaring at him. I reached behind me and grabbed my staff. You want to do weapons? He laughed as he grabbed a flail. Fine by me. Seriously? A flail? I asked. Where do you think we are? Medieval times? He narrowed his eyes and charged. Watch out, Alvar shouted as she ran towards me to help. I jumped to the side and quickly turned around. The demon growled as he whipped his flail at me. I cursed as a spike broke the skin on my arm. I growled and swung my staff at him. The staff hit his foot, causing him to fall down and drop the flail. I ran towards the flail, but he was quicker than I was. Got ya, he smirked. My eyes went wide in shock as he raised his flail. I raised my arms in front of me, bracing for the blow, but it never came. When I lowered my arms, I saw his arm laying on the ground, and black sludge started to ooze from his cut shoulder. Alvar placed her sword back and grabbed my hand. Thanks, Alvar, I said as she quickly pulled me up. You! The demon growled. That was my good arm! Heads up! I heard Kenward yell in the earpiece. The next thing I know, the ceiling collapsed. I shielded my face with my wings, so the dust wouldn't get in my eyes. I looked up just in time to watch the other demon land on top of the demon that we were fighting. The red demon with the wings started to turn to dust. I leaped forward and took out my silver dagger, seeing as he was trapped beneath concrete and the other demon. He howled out in pain as I pierced his heart. Grace wins every time. I smirked as he turned to dust. Are you two okay? Maximus asked as he flew through the hole in the ceiling. I nodded. I'm good. I'm sorry for snapping on you, Dad. He smiled and shook his head. It's okay. I would be the same way. I nodded and walked out of my office and up to my room. Hey man, my beta, Harvey said. Hey, I said. You okay? My third, Sterling, asked. I shrugged. I talked to my dad about her. Hey, it's going to be okay, Sterling said. You will get better. Maybe a miracle will happen. I scoffed. It's been 3 years. I don't think a miracle will happen if it's been this long. Me too. Alvar said. She took a deep breath. Casey, you're bleeding, Kenward said worriedly as he flew over to me. I waved him off. I'm okay. Promise, we still need to get you checked out. Your wing looks dented too. I looked behind me and sighed as I saw that he was right. Must have been when he tackled you. Just great, I mumbled. Come on, Maximus smiled. I think you had a good run today, but you need to rest. He's right. Kenward nodded with a worried face. You won't be able to do much with a dented wing. But, Casey, no, Kenward said with a stern look. We are going back home and that's final. I sighed and nodded. I'll give you a ride, Maximus said as he picked me up. Thank you, I said gratefully. No problem, Maximus smiled. When everyone was ready, they all jumped and flapped their wings. Since when do demons have wings? I asked. I was never taught that when I was training. They don't, Kenward said as he looked over at me. Then how did that one get wings? I asked, worried. I don't know, Alvar spoke up as she looked deep in thought. They might be evolving. Or Lucifer is doing something, Kenward said with narrowed eyes. Well, either way, we have to tell God. He's not going to like this one bit, Maximus mentioned as everyone else nodded. Just great. Flying demons. What's next? There she is, Nurse Lena smiled. Hey, I chuckled as I sat down on the bed. Now tell me. Lena looked at me with a laugh. How did you manage to dent your wing, dear? I got tackled by a demon, I said, twiddling my thumbs. A strong one, too. Kenward laughed. Should have seen the horns on that sucker. Did you win? Lena asked with a smile. I nodded with a wink. Of course I did. Don't get too cocky, kid, Kenward smirked. There are plenty more out there like that one, and some are stronger. I groaned. That's what I thought, Kenward laughed. Now I need to go talk to Maximus. Take it easy, Case. I nodded and watched as he walked out of the room. That looked serious, Lena said, worried. Is everything all right? We faced a demon with wings today, I explained. Wings? Lena gasped. But that's not possible. I know. I sighed as I shook my head. Kenward told me that they don't normally have wings. Lena shook her head. They don't. Demons' bodies are structured differently than ours are. Their bodies aren't supposed to hold wings. They aren't built to have wings. Their center of gravity would be way off if they did. Then how come that one did? I asked as Lena grabbed some wrap. He flew like he's had wings ever since he was born. That's not right, Lena said, confused. Now hold still real quick. Ow! I yelled as she pulled on my wing. I heard a pop and Lena grabbed the wrap. There, she smiled as she wrapped it up. All better. Easy for you to say. I grimaced as I looked at my wing. A knock on the door captured our attention. Come in, Lena called. What happened? Maximus asked, worried as he looked at me. Lena killed my wing. I frowned as I stroked the part of my wing that she pulled. Maximus relaxed but rolled his eyes and laughed. So dramatic. I stuck my tongue out at him and he chuckled to himself. I had to pull her wing so it would pop back into place. The demon must have weighed a lot if he dented it that much, Lena explained as she put the wrap back into the drawer. Oh, trust me. He did. I nodded. Maximus laughed and stood next to me. Thank you, Lena. No problem. She smiled sweetly and then turned to me. Now, Casey. No flying for the rest of the day. But be careful tomorrow. We are lucky that we can heal a lot faster and more easily. I nodded and she walked out. You okay, Casey? Maximus asked as he sat down in the chair that was next to the bed. Yes, I'm fine. I smiled. Just making sure, Maximus said a little shakily. Are you all right? I asked, confused. You're one of us, Casey. We are going to always worry about you, Maximus explained. And especially me because you remind me so much of my daughter. He nodded. You are stubborn, smart, kind. You are just like her. You remind me of her, and when I see you, I think of you as my own daughter. Thank you, Maximus. I said as I pulled him into a hug. It's nice to know that I have someone like you. You've always acted like my dad, and it's nice. Thank you, he smiled. And I'm going to always act as your dad. Of course, I laughed as he gave me a pointed look. So that means no boys, Maximus said strictly. And it starts, I teased as I jumped off the bed. I'm just saying, you never know. Harvey smiled. I shrugged. I'm going to bed. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Night, man, they called out. I slowly crawled into bed and pulled the covers up. I sighed and turned over on my side. Will a miracle actually happen? What is so bright? I groaned as I sat up in my bed. Who's there? I asked as the light started to subside. Why, it's me, silly, the lady laughed. She was gorgeous. Flawless face, light blue eyes, white hair, he commented as he put his hands up. You don't need any distractions. Now you sound just like my real dad, I laughed. Good. Maximus smiled and he stood up proudly. So how are the demons with wings going? I asked. Maximus's face turned serious. I don't know. No one can figure out how they got those wings. Lena told me that their bodies aren't built for wings, I said, remembering what she told me earlier. Maximus nodded. She's right. Their bodies aren't proportioned correctly. They are top-heavy, so adding wings would only make it worse. Do you think their bodies could be changing? I asked as I thought about it. Like to match the balance of having wings? It's a possibility, he said, thinking out loud. But you need to rest. We have to talk with God later. I nodded and laid back down on the bed. I'm glad that you are all right, Casey, Maximus said as he kissed the top of my head and left the room. I sighed as I looked up at the ceiling and thought about everything that happened today. What are you talking about, son? My dad asked as he leaned forward in his chair. We ran into some creature, I said as I looked at everyone. We don't know what it is, though. It was weirdly shaped, Harvey spoke up. Its upper body was bigger. What did it look like? My mom asked. One was black, with red markings all over its chest. It had white eyes and really big black horns, Harvey explained. The other one was the same size, except he was red with black markings. He, too, had really big black horns, but this one had wings. I heard gasps come from around the room as all my pack members looked at me in fear. I've never heard of such a thing, Elder Jonah said. Have you? Elder Ken shook his head. This is all new to me. My dad sighed as he rubbed his forehead. What else happened? They have a great sense of smell just like us. One of them could smell us, I added. They are very strong from the way that they look and can obviously fly. They can smell like we can? Elder Ken asked. I nodded. Where are you going with this? Elder Jonah asked. Do you have an idea on what it can possibly be? Elder Lois asked quietly. I really don't know, Elder Ken admitted as he faced her. But I think I might have heard something about this before. Like what? Sterling asked, confused. Back when I was your age, my parents would tell me stories about some mysterious creature, Elder Ken explained. No one knew what it was. They never got a chance to get a good look at one, or even met one. They would always disappear. And the way you described them makes me believe that we are talking about the same creature. How do you know if it hasn't been seen before? I asked. I don't remember who it was, but someone claimed that they got a glance of it. They described it as big, black with a little red, and what looked like horns on top of its head. They must be powerful if they have been around for that long, a member said as he cradled his daughter. Okay, this is what we are going to do, I said, speaking up. I want all the elders researching. Elder Ken, if you remember even the tiniest bit, that will help us in the long run. Elder Ken nodded along with the others. I want a curfew, I added. No going out in the forest after dark. Once it turns dark, everyone is required to stay in the open. Stay by the buildings and lights. I want all the children to return to their houses by 8 o'clock. No objections. We are also upping our training, Sterling added. I want all the warriors to train harder. I agree, I replied to Sterling's comment. If these creatures have truly been around this long, then they are going to be strong. They looked pretty strong when we saw them. I don't want to take any chances. I am the alpha, and that means that it's my job to protect my pack no matter the costs, and I plan on doing just that. My dad smiled proudly at me. I think that is a good idea, son. I nodded and looked back out at my members. Meeting dismissed. I want everyone to stay inside tonight. Lock all the doors and windows. We will talk more about this tomorrow. I heard a bunch of yes alphas as everyone got up to leave. I think the curfew was a great idea, Zale. My mom smiled as she walked up to me with Dad. I just hope it's enough, I stated worriedly. Those things were huge. I don't want them anywhere near my pack. My dad nodded in understanding, but sometimes you just can't prevent things from happening. You can only try, my mom said soothingly. Wakey, wakey, Kenward yelled as he pounded on my door. I groaned as I pulled my pillow over my head. Casey, Kenward sang. Stop singing, I shouted as I clutched the pillow tighter. You're gonna make my ears bleed. The constantly pull, me always thinking about him. And when we shook hands, that spark of electricity that I felt, I yelled. Why did you keep this from me? Maximus looked down ashamed. I was trying to do the right thing. I scoffed and turned around to leave. Where are you going? Kenward asked carefully. To go calm down. I mumbled as I slammed the doors shut behind me. I'm Maximus, I mumbled as I kicked a pebble around. I don't allow fun. I don't allow any distractions. Blah, blah, blah. I missed the pebble with my foot. Damn it! I groaned and picked up the pebble and threw it. Ow! I heard someone yell. Shit! I gasped as I ran to where the voice was. I hope I didn't hurt him too bad. I froze once I saw who it was. Oh, crap. Where did that come from? Harvey asked, laughing. Maybe a squirrel threw it at him, Sterling said as he busted up laughing. Yeah, laugh it up, Zale mumbled as he rubbed the back of his head. Uh-oh. I slowly took a step back and turned around. Crack! I cringed as I stepped on a twig and broke in half. The three boys quickly turned around and went on high alert, but relaxed once they saw me. Casey. Zale smiled, but then got confused. Casey? Hey boys. I laughed nervously with a small wave. What are you doing here? Patrolling. Sterling laughed. You're on our land. I looked down on the ground at my feet and then looked back up. Right. I knew that. Zale laughed and gave me a warm smile. What are you doing here? Sterling teased as he asked me my own question. Little bastard. Patrolling as well, I said back. For what? He asked. Like demons? I nodded. Correct. It's still weird to believe that those things really do exist, Harvey said. And I'll admit, those things are hella scary. Oh, trust me. I know, I laughed. It's nice to see you again. Zale smiled. I looked over at Zale and I found myself smiling back. You too, Sterling. Harvey smiled. I think I heard my mom calling for us. Sterling nodded. I think so too. Harvey and Sterling both took off running while they were laughing and left Zale and I alone. Oh great, this is just what I wanted. I gulped and looked at Zale, only to find him already staring at me. Oh yay. Because this isn't totally awkward. Well, for him at least. He looks really calm, but me? Oh. I'm far from calm. My brain is freaking out and is telling, no, let me correct that, screaming at me to run far, far away. So how have you been, Casey? Zale asked as he walked over to a tree and sat down. He patted the spot next to him and I huffed. But I'll admit, I was okay with it because he smelled so good. I laughed in my head and I looked up at him. Why is he so damn tall? I've been good. Nothing new, I responded. Are you sure? He asked as he tilted his head and studied my face. I gave him a confused look. Yes. Why do you ask? You look tense. How did he know that something is wrong? No one can ever tell. I've learned to hide it very well and people always believe it. Casey, Zale said softly with a small smile. You know you can talk to me, right? I sighed and started playing with the grass. Maximus and I got into a little fight. About what? Zale asked concerned. You, being my mate, and a werewolf. I snuck out the other night and visited my house I used to live in when I was, well, alive, I said, letting out a small chuckle. Wait, Zale laughed. You snuck out of heaven? I nodded with a smile. Well, that's not something that people usually hear every day. I let out a laugh. It's actually a lot harder than you think. Really? He asked, looking shocked. Ooh, tell me about it, I giggled as I looked at his face. His puckered out his bottom lip and folded his hands as if saying, please. I nodded. Well, heaven is just like you could imagine it. Pearly white gates and golden paths. Angels everywhere. Everyone is always happy. I looked at Zale for a moment and he had this look of awe written all over his face. I smiled and continued. Those are the normal angels. The ones who die and get sent to heaven because they believe in God and asked for forgiveness of their sins. See, just because you believe in God doesn't mean that you get sent to heaven. You have to show him that you truly are one of his followers and ask for forgiveness of his sins. Is he nice? Zale asked. Yes, I nodded. But when he's angry, you better run. Zale laughed. Continue, please. Then there are the warrior angels. Or guardian angels, whichever you prefer to call us. I shrugged. We are the ones that hold meetings and patrol Earth. But we can transform into a human. That form is the most recent version of us when we were alive, right before we died. But because we are angels now, that isn't our true form anymore. That is just a safety mechanism for when we take turns patrolling on Earth. We are also the ones that can directly speak to God. That's honestly really fascinating. Zale smiled big. It's amazing up there. It's so free. I smiled back. Oh, blah, blah, blah. A voice hissed. I jumped up at the voice and saw a demon. Of course! Geez. Can I ever get a break? Ooh, I smell a dog. The demon smirked. It must be you. Zale growled. Calm down, boy, the demon teased. Can you sit? Sit down. Come on, puppy. Sit. I took a big step away from Zale. I honestly think he is about to blow up. Casey, you need to leave, Zale said through gritted teeth. I scoffed. Hell no. I'm the angel. The demons are my responsibility. I have many wolves on their way. They can't see you. Zale warned me. You have to leave. I groaned, but I complied anyway because I knew he was right. Take this, I said as I quickly grabbed my sword. Stab him in the heart. The handle is covered in cloth. You won't be touching the silver. Remember, heart only. Any of place will only slow him down. Zale nodded and took my sword. I took off to the sky, right as the other wolves showed up. Coward! The demon yelled at me right before he got tackled by a couple wolves. I stayed in the air and rolled my eyes. Dumbass. So, not that I don't like it. Zale laughed as he sat up in a tree with me. But how come you are still here? You are usually gone by now. I smiled, but I saw a little sadness crossing his eyes. I sighed. He is right. I'm usually long gone by now. I have been hanging out with him for over 2 hours, plus the 30 minutes if you count the time before the demon showed up. Max and I still aren't on speaking terms right now. Zale nodded. That's right. I forgot about how you are a badass and snuck out of heaven. I laughed and nudged him with my shoulder. Oh, hush it, Wolfie. Hey now. Zale yelled as he tried to look serious. I shook my head. You have an awful poker face. Zale broke his serious look and chuckled. I know. That's why I always lose to Harvey and Sterling in poker. I am the master at poker. I winked. Zale gave me a look. You play? I shrugged with a serious face. I'm kidding. I really don't. Zale nodded. Oh, okay. A couple minutes passed before I busted up laughing and fell backward on the ground. Casey, Zale yelled as he jumped down and scooped me up in his arms. Oh, okay. I mocked in a deep, manly voice. I was kidding again. I really do play poker. Damn it. Zale mumbled as he set me down. You have to teach me. I smiled and gave him a single nod. Deal. It's getting late. Do you? Zale cleared his throat as he looked down at the ground. Do you want to, stay at the pack house? I know you aren't talking to, Maximus right now. But, I know you can't let anyone know you're an angel and we can hide your wings. I giggled at Zale's nervousness. He looks so cute when he is nervous. Almost adorable. He would look adorable if he wasn't so hot. Oh my gosh, I need to calm myself down. I am an angel. Oh, good Lord. God is going to kill me for thinking like this. Zale? I asked as he was still mumbling. He stopped and immediately looked at me. Thank you. That would be very nice of you. Zale gave me the biggest smile and softly grabbed my hand. Sweet. I have a guest room that is down the hall from my room. I nodded. Thank you. I really don't want to face Max right now. I don't blame you. While he was still holding my hand, I quickly turned into my human form without him knowing. But that quickly changed when he looked at me and screamed. "Holy shit. What the hell?" Zale asked as he dropped my hand and took a step back. "What?" I asked, trying to hide my laugh as I shrugged. "Your pack members aren't supposed to know I'm an angel. I have 2 forms. Good lord. Warn a guy next time, would you?" "Okay. This time I can't hold it in anymore." I started laughing so hard that I had to hold my stomach. Oh my gosh, his face. It was priceless. He jumped back and started flailing his arms. He looked like he was trying to imitate a ninja. Yeah, laugh it up," Zale growled as he continued to walk. Oh my gosh, that was priceless. I continued to laugh as I wiped a tear from my eye. "Hey, wait up!" Zale stopped walking and I accidentally ran into his back. "Warn a girl next time, would ya?" I fired his words right back at him as I rubbed my nose. He turned around and studied me. "Wait a minute. What?" I asked, confused, as I wiggled my nose around. "Just have to make sure it's not broken. His back feels like a wall. Why do you look familiar?" Zale asked quietly before his eyes got wide. Holy shit. Well, I can tell you, shit is not holy one bit. "What?" I asked again. "I met you before," he remembered. "In town. I accidentally ran into your shoulder. That's why I felt those sparks." I was confused until I remembered that day. That was the day Kenward wanted to go to Dairy Queen and get ice cream. I nodded. "Sorry about not telling you about that. Part of the whole people can't know we exist thing?" Zale asked, laughing as I nodded. "I got ya." "It's okay." I smiled and kept walking next to him. I really love how Zale is so understanding. I'm pretty sure my feelings for him just increased by, well, a lot. This is kind of scaring me. The walk to his pack house was surprisingly short. But damn, was the house huge. It honestly looks like it could be used for a hotel. Zale smiled at me before he opened the door. I stepped in after him and saw everyone was outlined in gold. "Zale, honey?" Cece asked quietly as she looked around the corner. "Who is this?" Zale was about to speak up, but I beat him. "Hi. My name is Kate. I was taking a walk and got lost in the woods, and this kind man told me about a hotel that his family owned. You must be his mother." Cece smiled widely as I walked up to her and shook her hand. "Oh, it's very nice to meet you, Kate. Yes, this is our hotel." I laughed to myself as I watched her try to play along with this lie that I just made up. "Cece?" a male voice asked. I looked to my right and saw Doug standing there with Harvey and Sterling. Harvey and Sterling both had shocked faces. I'm pretty sure they both remembered me. "Hey guys," Zale called as Harvey and Sterling reluctantly tore their eyes off of me and landed on Zale. "Can you guys please help me get one of the rooms ready for Kate?" They looked back at me and nodded before they both turned around and followed Zale. "Hi, sweetie." Cece smiled. "Kate, this is my husband, Doug." "His, sir." I smiled as I shook his hand. "It's very nice to meet you." Again. "Hi there, Kate." Doug mumbled as he tried to hide his confusion with a smile. "Your son found me and told me about this hotel that you guys own," I repeated. "I was walking in the woods and I got lost. It was getting really dark and I didn't know which way was my house. But that's when Zale found me and told me about this hotel. I'm really glad he did. I don't want to know what is out in the woods at night," I mumbled, trying to look uncomfortable. "Just kidding. I do know what's out here and I would totally kick their asses. Damn it, Casey. Focus." I focused back on Cece as she smiled sadly. "Oh my, I'm sorry to hear that, dear." "Well, don't worry. We have a room available for you." Doug cleared his throat, finally catching on, and smiled. "Yes, of course. Zale left to go get your room ready for you." "Thank you so much." I smiled back. Man, I love these people. They are so kind. Where do I pay?" Doug shook his head. "It's on the house." "Okay, good, because I don't have any money." "Are you sure?" I asked. Cece nodded. "We are sure. We are just glad that you are safe." "Your name is Kate?" a girl with long, straight brown hair asked me. I nodded. "That's me." "Oh, cool," she gushed as the blonde girl next to her laughed. "My name is Caitlin. Nice to meet you." I laughed. "I'm Sunny, not the crazy one." Sunny giggled as Caitlin rolled her eyes and huffed. "Well, sorry, I'm excited to see a new face here. I'm tired of seeing these other guys all day every day." Do you two stay at the hotel as well? I asked. Hotel? Sunny asked before Cece cleared her throat. Oh yeah, right. Yes, we do. We are staying with our boyfriends. Ooh la la. I laughed as they both blushed. Who are they? Ready, Kate? Zale asked. I jumped as he just randomly appeared. It's okay. He scares a lot of people with that face. Harvey laughed as he looked at me. Zale must have told them. Because both he and Sterling look a lot more comfortable and they both keep giving me weird looks. Kind of like they know something I don't. Well, I guess they do know something. But I also know it as well. I laughed as Zale rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. Be nice, babe. Caitlin chuckled as she smacked his arm. Kate, this is Harvey, my boyfriend. And that other weird-looking guy is my boyfriend, Sterling. Sunny smiled as she pointed to him. Hey now, Sterling yelled as the girls laughed. I chuckled myself and waved at them. It's really nice to know you guys. Come on. Zale smiled. I'll show to your room. I can grab some of my clothes for you since you don't have any, Caitlin offered. They might be a little long for you since you are shorter than me, but other than that, they should fit. Thank you, I said as she nodded and turned around to leave. I followed Zale to the guest room that I'll be staying in for tonight. I honestly wouldn't mind living here. Everyone that I have met so far has been so sweet and kind to me, and they don't even know me. Besides the weird looks that I've been getting from other people, they haven't said anything rude. They all just smile at me and then continue on with whatever they were doing. Yes, some have lingered a little bit, but they aren't rude whatsoever. They just look confused and shrug it off. And Cece and Doug, I wish I could tell them that it's really me, but I can't. It would blow my cover and that wouldn't be good at all. It could put them in danger. Demons aren't even supposed to know what angels look like in human form. Us being in human form is safer to humans. 1, because they don't know that we are angels, and 2, demons will think that we are regular humans and sometimes won't do anything stupid. But that's a pretty big sometimes. Some demons like to kill humans or take them down to hell, but most of them don't want to blow their cover just like us. I came back to reality as Zale opened a door. Here is your room. He smiled. And there is a bathroom right by the closet for you. Thank you. I smiled as I walked in. This is a very nice guest room, I said to myself as I looked around. I could get used to this. Are you getting settled in? Caitlin smiled as she and Sunny handed me some extra clothes. I smiled and nodded. I am, thank you. I really love this place. It's gorgeous. Sunny smiled. Maybe you can stay a couple of nights. I bet Zale would love that. My eyes went wide and they giggled. What do you mean? I asked. Did they know that my name isn't Kate? Good Lord, I'm so bad at acting. I'm glad I never wanted to be an actress when I was younger. I would suck at it. Someone has a whittle swoosh on you. Caitlin cooed in a baby voice. It's adorable, really. Agreed. Sunny smiled but then got serious. I think you would be really good for him. He needs it. Why do you say that? I asked as I turned around to face them better. Sunny sighed as she looked over at Caitlin. Zale changed a while ago. He wasn't the fun, nice Zale we all knew when we were kids. Don't get me wrong, he is nice and fun, but not as much as he used to be. He's a lot colder, and he keeps to himself a lot. It was like a light switched, turned off. Caitlin mumbled. Overnight, he just changed. How come? I asked as I felt a sharp pain in my chest. Someone he cared deeply for died 3 years ago, Caitlin stated. But he seemed to forget all of that when he met you. It's like the old Zale is almost back. I gulped and let out a nervous laugh. Wait a second. I died 3 years ago. Zale didn't even know me then. I know we are mates, but could he have really felt me die? I went to go open my mouth to ask a question, but my door flying open stopped me. Sunny! Sterling yelled, as he and Harvey appeared at the door. Good thing I wasn't naked, I joked, laughing, but stopped once I saw their expressions. Guys, what's wrong? I groaned as I saw their eyes fog over. Seriously? Mind-linking? I'm right here, you know. The girls ran out of the room and Harvey looked at me and smiled. I rolled my eyes. Good Lord. What lie is he going to try and feed me now? Hey, Kate, do you? He stopped talking when I pushed him aside and went out to the living room. Get everyone who can't fight to the safe houses now, Doug yelled as little children followed Cece out of the living room. Kate! Harvey yelled as she ran into the living room. Damn. For a tiny person, you can run fast. Doug whipped his head around and started at me with giant eyes. Kate, what's going on? I asked, confused, as no one else paid any attention to me. Men and women were running outside and children were running towards the back of the house. Harvey, take her with the children, Doug commanded as Harvey nodded. I jumped back as Harvey tried to grab me. I quickly went around him so that I was right next to Doug. What is going on? You wouldn't understand. The children are all safe, Cece said, relieved as she ran towards Doug. Kate! Dad! I heard Zale's voice yell from outside. Zale, I whispered as I ran outside. Kate! Doug growled as he and Cece followed me outside. Son of a bitch! Harvey groaned as he too followed me outside. What are you doing, Casey? Zale yelled as he ran up to me shirtless. Don't look! Don't look! Now is not the time, Casey. Casey? Doug asked. Who's Casey? I was about to ask Zale what was going on, but I didn't have to. I saw the problem. Aw, how sweet, the demon snickered. Look who decided to show up. I rolled my eyes. Don't you need a license to be that ugly? The demon growled at me. Shut your mouth. Stop, Kate. Harvey yelled at me. You don't know what you're talking to. I sighed. Yes, I do, actually. The demon smirked. They don't know, do they? Know what? Doug asked, confused. I gave the demon a humorless laugh. They will now. I quickly shifted into my true form and grabbed my staff. There's the angel. The demon mocked. I've been waiting for this moment. Me too. I mumbled, extremely pissed off as I turned around to look at everyone. They all had wide eyes and open mouths. Are you guys going to help? Zale took off his shorts and shifted. Damn, his wolf is beautiful. Angel and werewolf. What an odd but fascinating couple. The demon laughed as he turned around and grabbed a tree. I watched amazed as he effortlessly ripped the tree out of the ground and held it like a baseball bat. You have got to be kidding me. Now let's play. That doesn't look good. Harvey mumbled as Sterling and the girls showed up. Casey? Sterling asked, shocked. You know her? Sunny asked, her voice laced with jealousy. Dude, that's an angel, Caitlin yelled. I didn't know those things existed. I rolled my eyes. We have a bigger problem. Their line of sight shifted as they looked to what I was pointing at. Son of a bitch, Sterling yelled as he saw Zale fighting the demon that is currently using a tree as a baseball bat. I turned around and jumped up, flapping my wings. I soared through the air, heading straight to the demon. When I finally got to him, I tucked my wings in and dive-bombed him. He let out a grunt as his back slammed on the ground and he slid back, leaving a huge hole in the dirt. Before he could get back up, I swung my staff and hit him in the face. He growled and jumped back up and cracked his neck. I gasped and jumped out of the way as he came charging towards me. He barely missed me. The demon dug his heels into the dirt to stop himself and then turned back to face me. He was about to charge again, but stopped and looked up at the sky. Woo-hoo! Let's kill us a demon! A voice yelled as the demon, and I looked at each other confused. I smiled as I saw Kenward flying down and punch the demon. The demon fell back on his ass and looked shocked by what just happened. You okay, Squirt? Kenward asked as he landed right next to me. I nodded. Yeah, I'm okay. That's good. He smiled and pulled me in for a hug. Alvar and Max got held up by another demon. So it's just you and me, Squirt. The demon growled and charged Kenward and me. I shoved Kenward out of the way and took the full hit from the demon. I groaned in pain as I was slammed against a tree, with the demon holding onto my neck. Not so tough are you now? The demon sneered, his hot breath fanning my face. I struggled to get free, clawing at the demon's hand, hoping he would let go of me. He raised his fist up and got ready to punch me. I screamed in pain as he landed a blow to my gut. I heard a growl and I felt myself drop on the ground. I looked up and saw Zale on top of the demon, clawing at his face. Zale, move! Kenward shouted. Zale jumped off just in time as Kenward pierced the demon's chest with a silver dagger. The demon turned to dust and everyone was silent. Zale didn't think twice as he quickly turned around and trotted over to me. He whimpered as he pressed his nose against my neck. I groaned as I slowly stood up, using his fur to grab onto for support. I'm okay. Honest, Casey. Kenward said, worried as he ran up to me and pulled me into his chest. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? I laughed. Yes, I'm okay. Don't turn around. Kenward said sharply as I heard cracks from behind me. Trust me. I wasn't going to. I laughed. And that is true. I really didn't want to jump Zale in front of all these people, especially his parents and Kenward. Kenward would probably kill the poor guy. Are you sure you're okay? Zale asked softly from behind me. I turned around and smiled at him. Yes, I'm fine. Put a shirt on. Word mumbled as he walked towards Doug and Cece. My cheeks heated up as I dropped my gaze to his abs. I closed my eyes and shook my head. Damn it, Casey. Pull yourself together. You're an angel. Act like it. Zale cleared his throat and I opened my eyes to see him smirking. Oh, good Lord. Someone, please kill me. You can look all you want. Zale growled into my ear. Yep, cue the explosion of ovaries. That's my time to leave! I turned around and ran over to where Kenward was with Zale's parents as I heard Zale's laughter fill the air. I hate him. Wow, you look different. Caitlin laughed. I gave her a small smile. I'm sorry about lying to you. Angels exist, Sonny mumbled, giving a nervous laugh. Okay. This isn't weird at all. Just another normal day. Babe, it's okay. Sterling smiled as he rubbed her back. I wanted to tell you too, but I couldn't. No one is supposed to know that angels exist. Only demons know that, I explained. Yes, but now some werewolves know too. Kenward sighed. Doug? Doug asked as he and Cece walked over to us. I need you to call a meeting. What for? Cece asked, confused. I need to speak with your pack members. Now that most of them know what Casey and I are, we have some things to explain and some rules to go over. Harvey groaned. Rules? Really? Caitlin smacked his arm. You need to shut up and quit whining. Harvey rubbed his arm. Fine. No need to be violent. I giggled, but Kenward didn't blink an eye. Well, I don't blame him. We almost got killed by a stupid demon. I called everyone and they are on their way to the town hall. You can speak there, Zale said sternly as he walked over to where Kenward and I were standing. Lead the way, Kenward said as he started walking. Didn't he tell me to lead the way? Zale asked, confused. I sighed. Let's just follow him. But I wish that it was that easy. The whole walk was awkward. Kenward looked pissed off. Zale kept looking at Kenward like he was going to punch him. Doug was quiet, and Cece was trying to make small talk with everyone, which was not helping whatsoever. In fact, it was kind of making everything worse. The building on the left, Zale mentioned, as he started to walk up the walkway. Ready to talk? Kenward asked. I went to answer him, but he ignored me and walked in front of the crowd. Sure, Kenward, I'm ready to talk. I mumbled as I rolled my eyes and followed him. I really don't understand why he does that. He'll ask you a question and then just walk away. Like, what is the point in that? Attention, please, Kenward shouted over the voices. It was silent as everyone took in Kenward. No one made a sound. Kenward cleared his throat at the awkward silence. Right. So I need to ask you all some questions, and also I need to go over some rules. Rules? A little girl asked, confused. I smiled at her. Yes. They aren't very hard to follow. They are actually pretty easy, I promise. As you can all see, Casey and I aren't humans. We are angels. We have existed since the earth was created. Other supernatural creatures do not know about us, and it was supposed to stay that way. Kenward, I hissed at him. He rolled his eyes. Anyway, even though you guys know about us, we have to keep it quiet. No one can know about this. Kenward is serious about this. Zale piped in. This has to stay within the pack. No talking about this with anyone. So you really are an angel? The same little girl asked. I smiled and nodded. Yes, we are. Do you have any superpowers? We can fly. Kenward smiled as he stretched out his wings. I call going on the ride first, a little boy yelled as he ran up to Kenward. What? Kenward shouted as little children charged him. This is so not cool. Zale and I tried to stop laughing as the children started to try to climb up on Kenward. This is great. I laughed as Kenward started to lose his balance. Casey, help! Kenward yelled as he fell backward. Don't touch me there. What is going on? Maximus asked as he and Alvar barged in through the door. The little kids want to go for a ride. Zale smiled. Maximus looked at Zale and rolled his eyes. What the hell is his problem? Why doesn't he like Zale? I'm glad that you are okay. Alvar smiled as she pulled me in for a hug. I smiled and nodded. Me too. I heard from Kenward that you guys got stuck on another demon. Alvar sighed and nodded. We did. They have been popping up around this area recently. We don't know why. Excuse me, I heard a small voice. I looked down and saw a young girl, probably about 8 or 9, tug on my armor. I bent down so I was eye level with her. Yes, I think I know why the bad guys are here. I looked at her in shock. What do you mean, sweetheart? Well, I was playing the other day, and I was heading home and there was this really big guy. I think he was a bad guy. What did he look like? I asked, confused. You. She smiled. Well, not exactly. He was a boy. I gave her a very confused look, but then pointed at Maximus. Like him? Yeah. She nodded frantically with a smile. But he had longer hair. I think it was almost white, like a white blonde, I think. But he was talking to one of those really big red guys. A demon? Yes. But they weren't fighting like you did earlier. They were having a normal conversation. No yelling or anything. Then they both jumped up and flew off in the same direction. I gulped, but cleared my throat and looked back down at the little girl. Thank you so much for telling me that. You're welcome, Luna. She smiled and skipped back to what I'm assuming are her parents. I smiled to myself as I let it roll off my tongue. I like the sound of it too, Zale said suddenly. I jumped and turned around to see him standing there with a smile on his face. I really do like the sound of it. It suits you perfectly. I felt my face get heated. You think? Zale laughed softly and nodded his head as he wrapped his arms around me. I do. Me too. I smiled back. Oh shit, I need to tell Max something. Zale let me go and followed behind me as I ran up to Max. Casey, what's wrong? Max asked, concerned as he looked at me with wide eyes. We have a big problem. I mumbled as I pulled him aside. I just spoke with a little girl. She said that on her walk home the other day she saw an angel, a guy with long, whitish blonde hair, and a demon talking. What? Max hissed in disbelief. Talking? Are you sure they weren't yelling at each other? I nodded. She's positive. They just had a regular conversation and then they both jumped up and flew off in the same direction. This can't be happening. Alvar mumbled as she walked up. Do you think God sent someone undercover? No way. Max sighed, shaking his head. That is way too dangerous. This isn't just some regular fight. This is the devil himself. No one is to go undercover. What if he switched sides? Kenward spoke up as he put a child down. The child huffed and stomped off, probably upset that the ride is over with. Max rubbed his forehead. Oh no. Has that ever happened before? An angel betraying his own kind? That doesn't happen. It's a first for everything, Zale said sternly as he stood by my side. It happens. Yes, but not to angels. Max spat. Maximus, Alvar scolded. Listen, I don't understand what your problem is with me, but I'm trying to help. Zale snapped back and narrowed his eyes. I know that your precious secret is out now, but this became my problem when those things attacked my pack members. So whether you like it or not, we have to work together. Because I am not about to stand aside and watch my pack get slaughtered. Max narrowed his eyes back at Zale. I sighed and looked up at my mate. What do you mean it happens? Zale tore his eyes away from Max and looked down at me. I smiled slightly as I saw his eyes soften. I've known some alphas who had pack members go rogue with the promise of more freedom, power, money, anything really, Zale explained with a shrug. The most common one is power, then freedom. So if it's someone who isn't happy with their position, they could have easily fallen for the trick and switched. Trick? I asked. Zale nodded. I mean, yes, sometimes they get what they are promised, but most of the time they don't. They are usually being used. Then when the leader doesn't need them anymore, kills them or worse, gives them back to the pack. Treason is a very big crime, and it's something that you don't want to be charged with. Members would rather deal with the wrath of a rogue leader than their alpha when they find out what happened. Do you think that one of us was promised something? Kenward asked, concerned. Anything can happen. Alvar sighed. We have to get back and spread the word. She's right. Kenward nodded. We have to find out who is betraying us. and what they told the demons. This isn't going to be good. Let's go. Max sighed as he opened the doors. This isn't going to be good. Is there any other way to get rid of these bastards? Harvey huffed as he slumped back in his chair. Casey laughed and shook her head. I'm afraid not. Holy water? Caitlin asked. Demons have gotten too powerful. Alvar sighed deeply. Holy water used to be able to do a lot of damage, but for some reason, it hasn't been working that well over the years. It's almost like a rug burn for them now. Well, this sucks, Caitlin mumbled as she laid her head on Harvey's shoulder. There has to be more than just silver, I said as I looked at my laptop screen. You aren't going to find anything, Maximus said with slight irritation in his voice. Yeah, this guy still doesn't like me. I've just kind of let it go, to be honest. It still bugs me every once in a while, but I mostly just shrug it off. I've accepted the fact that he's not going to be my #1 fan. I wanted to pull him aside and try to talk to the guy, but Casey said it would only make things worse. She described him as a guy who doesn't like change. It's either his way or the highway. As much as I wanted to talk to him, I decided against it for Casey. I'd do anything for that girl. Hey! Someone screamed as I felt something hit my forehead. Hey! I laughed as the paper ball fell on my keyboard. What was that for? You were spacing out there. Casey giggled. I couldn't help but smile at her laugh. It was so cute. What were you thinking about? I shook my head. Nothing. I was trying to wrap my brain around this. There has to be something else that we can use to kill the demons. Now it was Casey's turn to shake her head. Nothing has worked. The only object that will successfully kill them is silver. Everything else that we have tried will only paralyze them or won't do anything. And you have to hit them in the heart or it will only cause a scratch, and not a very big one at that. This is stupid. My dad growled. My mom rubbed his back. Come on, dear. It's just how it is and we will have to work with that. I know, but the one thing that can kill them can also kill us. It's getting pretty late, my mom said softly. Let's save this for tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. My dad nodded. I closed my laptop and walked up to Casey. Ready? She gave me a confused look as she tilted her head to the side. So cute. What do you mean? She asked. I smiled. I want to show you this cute diner outside of town. I'm taking you on a date. Okay. She smiled and took my hand. I led her out of my study and we walked to the front door and out to my car. It's got the best hot fudge sundaes in town. I drooled at the thought. I'll have to hold you on that, she joked. The car ride was pretty normal. The occasional conversations were passed between the two of us, although her singing was pretty interesting. A song by Justin Moore came on the radio and she tried to sing with a deep voice. That was very entertaining to watch and listen to. I was in tears by the time we got to the diner. How is it so funny? Casey laughed as we both sat down. Because. I smiled as I tried to catch my breath from laughing so hard. I wiped a tear that had escaped and took a deep breath. But when I made eye contact with Casey, I lost it. I snorted as I tried to hold in my laugh, and that caused Casey to start laughing. An older lady cleared her throat with an annoyed look on her face. I'm so sorry, ma'am, Casey said in between laughs as she started to calm down. The lady rolled her eyes and went back to eating with her husband. Damn. Lighten up. Casey and I looked at each other and busted up laughing again. Zale, she yelled with a smile on her face as she threw her napkin at me. Hey now. I smiled as I caught the napkin. What is it with people throwing things at my head today? It's a big target. She shrugged innocently. Hurtful, I snickered as I threw her napkin back at her. Hi, dears. The waiter smiled as she walked up to us. And what would this cute couple like to eat? I gave a big smile as Casey blushed deep red and hid her face in the menu. I looked back at the waitress and she was a cute little old lady. I would like a chocolate milk with 4 pancakes, 2 scrambled eggs, and some bacon, please. I said politely. Breakfast for dinner? Casey laughed. I shrugged with a wink. Breakfast is acceptable at all times. Touché. She scribbled my order down and turned to Casey with a smile. And for you, dear? Chocolate milk with 2 chocolate chip waffles and some bacon, please. Casey smiled as she gathered up the menus and handed them to the waitress. Sounds good, she smiled. I'll be back with your order shortly. Thank you. Casey and I said at the same time. I cleared my throat. How is everyone upstairs? Casey cracked a smile at my joke, but then turned serious, puzzled. I mean, angels turning their back on their own kind? I understand that Lucifer did it way back when, but still. We have never had an incident like that after he did it. No one ever dreamed of it. Maybe they got tired of taking orders, I suggested. Casey sighed and laid her head on the table. I don't know. This is all so confusing for us and we don't know what to do. We have had investigators watch everyone. And I mean everyone. I got followed around for a week. I laughed and rubbed my thumb over her knuckles. It's okay now. I mean, they still aren't following you, right? She shook her head and placed her other hand over mine. I smiled at her gesture. Not really. I mean, like, I'm not being followed anymore, but they still check up on me now every once in a while. After they follow you around for so long, they'll occasionally pop up to check on you, but it's not that bad anymore. Before I was worried that it would interfere with my missions, but the investigators are good at not getting in the way. She chuckled. I actually had one help with a mission. Seriously? I asked with a smile. Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. Well, maybe not for him. Casey started to laugh again. He was following me around, and while we were talking about stuff, we ended up getting ambushed. Were you okay? I asked quickly. Okay, maybe a little too quickly. She nodded. Oh yeah. The demon didn't stand a chance. He was a newbie. But it scared the investigator that she actually threw a dagger at him. She has a really great aim. After the demon died, she apologized for getting in the way of the mission. I told her it was really no big deal and that she had great aim. We laughed it off after she calmed down. At least you had help. I joked. She smiled. Me too. I didn't see the demon at all. For a newbie, he wasn't that bad. The door opened, and I looked up as the bell dinged. I gave him a confused look as he walked over to my table. Casey seemed to notice my concern and turned around. Oh hey, Casey said politely as she stood up and gave the guy a hug. Excuse me? You know him? I asked as I stood up next to Casey. Casey nodded. This is Tony. He was on my combat team the first year in training. Angel? I whispered to her. She winked at me and looked back at him. Sweet. More good guys? So Casey, Tony said in a hushed tone, I have a proposition for you. What's that? She asked as she grabbed a chair for Tony so he could sit down with us. Are you happy? Tony asked as he sat down. I asked. Tony gave me an annoyed look and then looked back at Casey. What was that? My wolf asked me. Your guess is as good as mine. I said back to him as I studied Tony. I thought he was a good guy? Something doesn't seem right. I could feel my wolf pace back and forth in my mind. He was really uneasy and I don't blame him. I was getting a bad vibe from this guy. Come on, Casey, I mumbled. We should get going. As I went to go grab her hand, Tony was quicker. Hey, Casey shouted as I saw Tony tighten his grip. I asked if you were happy, Tony asked with a wicked smile. Answering orders, after orders, after orders. Always following the rules. Being a sidekick. Dad, I shouted through the link. Diner south end of town. Now. I shut off the link and focused back on Casey. You need to leave, I growled as I grabbed his hand. And that wasn't a request. He let go of Casey and smirked up at me as he shook my hand off his. Stupid little alpha. Casey glared at him. What happened to you? He shrugged. I got tired of following orders and being those stupid angels' little bitch. What are you talking about? Tony gave a humorless laugh. All you ever do is follow orders. It's so boring. It's our job, Casey yelled as she clenched her fists. We have to protect the humans. I gulped as Casey grew madder. I don't know about you, but something about an angry angel really terrifies me. And Casey looks a little pissed. They can protect themselves. Tony shrugged. So I went to the side where there are no rules. Casey crossed her arms. You're no angel, Team Satan. He laughed. So are you in? Never, Casey spat as she narrowed her eyes at him. You'll come to realize your mistake. You're a disgrace, Tony. Hail Satan, you bitch. He sneered at Casey. I looked at him taken back. Well then, that wasn't very angel-like. She scoffed at my joke. What part? All of it. Tony rolled his eyes. Either join us or die. I'd rather die. So be it. Tony smirked as he got into a fighting stance. So, when you said that he was on your combat team, I said cautiously. Was he any good? She nodded. One of the top 5 in the class. Out of? I asked carefully. She sighed. 500. Well, fuck. Tony smirked. I was good at fighting. I won't deny that. Casey laughed. But I was better. Hell yeah! My baby is a boss-ass angel. You're going to regret this, Casey. I think I can live with that. Casey simply said. Tony grunted at her and lunged. I growled to myself. This guy ruined date night. I dodged Tony's lunge and picked up a chair. I threw it at him as he still had his back turned to us. He hit him square in the back, but it didn't faze him at all. Zale, get them out of here, I yelled. Zale nodded his head and turned to get the people out of the diner. Tony laughed as he shook his head back and forth. Really, Casey? A chair? That's the best you could do? I gulped. It was kind of the first thing I grabbed. He smirked and transformed. He cracked his neck and spread out his wings. So that's how you want to play. I grunted as I transformed as well. Bring it, Shorty. Tony smiled. I narrowed my eyes at him and shot forward. I grabbed him and flew us through the wood door of the diner and out onto the street. We rolled a couple times before he kicked me off of him. I grunted as I hit a lamppost on the sidewalk. Just give up, he yelled at me from across the street. Not going to happen, I yelled back and I jumped up and flapped my wings. I dove down and picked up him. I got high enough and threw him down. Zale ran out of the diner just as Tony hit the street. Zale quickly shifted into his wolf and growled at Tony as he stood up and dusted himself off. How is he not fazed by any of my attacks? I understand he's an angel, but still, that landing wasn't pretty, and it would have at least caused a little pain. Tony smirked at me and then turned to Zale. He reached for his belt and pulled out his dagger. Silver! Zale! I yelled as I flew down fast. Watch out! Zale looked at me and quickly turned to Tony. He jumped back just in time to miss Tony's blade. Aw, mates, what a beautiful thing, Tony teased. Oh, it is, Doug growled as he showed up with Max, Kenward, Alvar, and some wolves. Tony jumped and quickly turned around. I smirked as I saw him gulp. Tony? Max asked, shocked. Hey, old man. Tony laughed as he tried to remain calm. But he isn't stupid. He knew this wasn't going to end well. I watched him carefully as he gripped his dagger harder. Before he could raise his arm, I ran towards him and knocked him to the ground. I grabbed his dagger and threw it so it was a couple feet away from us. I smiled in relief as I shoved his face into the ground. Kenward, I would like you and Alvar to take him up, Max ordered. You got it. Kenward nodded as he and Alvar stepped forward. Zale helped me up and Kenward quickly grabbed Tony's arm. Like I said, always following orders. Tony spat at Max. Shut up, kid, Kenward yelled as he and Alvar flapped their wings and shot up in the air. I guess it's really happening. Harvey sighed as he looked at me. I nodded. How did you know? Max asked me. Tony is the type of guy to always have a backup plan. I knew he was thinking of something. I just didn't know what he was thinking, I stated. That's why he succeeded in our class. It was a very hard class and not a lot of people did well in it, but he was always one step ahead of everyone else. Are you two all right? Doug asked as he gave me a hug. I nodded as I pulled back from the hug. Yeah, we are fine. Took us by surprise, though. What exactly happened? Zale and I were about to eat when Tony walked in. I explained. He acted completely normal, didn't come off weird or angry, until he started asking questions. Zale spoke up. Questions? Max asked, confused. Zale nodded. He sat down with us, and then all of the sudden grabbed Casey's arm and asked her if she was happy. Happy? Sterling asked. Yeah, because that's totally not weird at all. What did he mean by happy? Max asked. Something along the lines of, am I happy with following orders and being a mule for you guys? I don't really know. Then that's when he asked if I wanted to join Lucifer's team, and when I said no, he attacked. I explained. Max was about to ask another question, but was stopped when we felt a gust of wind blow around us. We all looked up to see Alvar heading our way, and man, did she look pissed. We got a problem. Alvar sighed as she landed on the ground. Problem? I asked. Alvar nodded at me and then turned back to Max. He won't talk unless Casey is there. No, Max and Zale said at the same time. I looked at both of them. Guys, no, they yelled. You are not going in the same room as that monster, Max said sternly. I agree with him. Zale nodded. He could have killed you. I don't want you going near him, Casey. It isn't safe. I crossed my arms over my chest and stared at him. Really? You're gone there? Zale crossed his arms and nodded his head. Yes, I am. You're an idiot, son. Doug sighed as Harvey and Sterling tried not to laugh. I stepped closer to Zale. I'm an angel. I think I can handle myself against another angel, Wolfie. Zale narrowed his eyes at me, and I just winked and turned around to face Max. Let's go. I want a lawyer. I heard Tony shout from behind the door. The door suddenly opened and Kenward emerged, looking quite annoyed if I say so myself. I'm going to destroy that kid, Kenward sighed as he leaned against the door. Does he realize this isn't some crime show? He's trying to get under your skin. I laughed. Kenward chuckled and then looked at Max. You're really letting Casey go in there? I don't have a choice. Max sighed in annoyance. Casey threatened not to talk to me, and I really don't want to go through that again. Alrighty then. Let's go. Kenward smiled as he opened the door for me. Tony brought his head up and gave me a smirk when he met my eyes. Ah, Casey, long time no see. Tony, I acknowledged sternly. Why so serious? Tony laughed, but once he saw Kenward, his facial expressions turned harsh. What? Kenward asked, annoyed. You can leave now. And leave you and Casey alone? Kenward scoffed. Not a chance. It wasn't a request, Tony growled. You said that you wouldn't talk unless Casey was present, Kenward confirmed. So start talking. No, Tony simply stated as he leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. Oh, it wasn't a request, Kenward said, as he too crossed his arms over his chest. Well, I lied. What do you mean you lied? Kenward asked as he clenched his fists. Tony shrugged. I wanted to see if you would actually bring Casey. I'm surprised you did, to be honest. I'm going to kill you, Kenward shouted as he slammed his hands on the table. And that's a promise, Tony smirked. I don't know if you've noticed, Kenward, but your little scare tactic isn't going to work. I'm not scared of you. Now leave. Casey and I have some business to discuss. I placed my hand on Kenward's shoulder. It's okay. Go. Casey. Kenward started, but I shook my head, causing him to stop talking. Go. I pushed. He isn't going to talk, and he's just going to keep getting under your skin until you leave. I'll be fine. After a couple of minutes of Kenward looking between Tony and me, he reluctantly agreed. Okay. I nodded with a reassuring smile, and Kenward walked out the door. I let my face turn harsh as I turned around and faced Tony. Alone at last. Tony winked. Good Lord, I'm going to throw up. Cut the shit, Tony, I ordered sternly as I sat down across from him. I like a lady who takes control. Tony smirked. I'm going to punch you in the face, I promised. He held his hands up and laughed. Fine, sorry. Business talk now. What's the real reason you came here? I asked. I told you, he said in a duh tone. For you to join my side. I crossed my arms and leaned back in my chair. Why are you so dead set on getting me to join when there are millions of other angels out there? Isn't it obvious? Tony asked, giving me a weird look. Why is he looking at me like that? Is there something that I should know about? Not really. I started getting annoyed. I don't like playing these games. If it was really that obvious, I wouldn't be asking you. Good point. Tony nodded. Casey, you are special. Special? I asked. He nodded again. Yes. Lucifer has taken a liking to you. My eyes went wide as I felt the feeling of dread wash over me. Lucifer. Taken a liking in me? The devil himself personally wants me. Woo, what do you mean? Tony smirked. He personally wants you to join the dark side. Why would I do that? Simple. Tony smiled. We have cookies. Enough of these games, Tony, I shouted as I slammed my hands down on the table. Spill. Now. You really are stupid, Tony sighed, standing up. It's simple. You are a Luna. What does me having a mate got to do anything with this? I swear. If he hurts Zale or any of them, his blood will be splattered all over the earth. Whoa. Hold up, Casey. Since when did I become this violent? Oh my gosh, what is happening to me? Think. You're smart. What is Tony getting at? Yeah. I have a mate. So what? But once I started to piece everything together, I finally realized what he was getting at. I looked back at Tony with wide eyes before I felt my facial expression turn harsh. No. Tony smirked. Yes. I shook my head back and forth. It's not going to happen. Just think. Tony smiled, standing up. Us against them. We will have wolves on our side. You can control them, Casey. You're their Luna. They will follow you without question. I clenched my fist and stared at him. I'm going to punch him. That's why Lucifer wants you on his team. Can you imagine the power that we would get? Tony smiled widely as he held onto my shoulders. Hail, Satan! I clenched my fist tighter and punched Tony. I punched him so hard that he flew through next 2 walls. I stood there taking deep breaths as everyone looked through the holes in the walls. Kenward and Max came running through the doors and stood there ready to fight. What the? Max asked as he saw me standing there with my shoulders raising up and down. Are you okay? I'm fine, I growled as I walked out of the room. I need to go warn Zale that he and everyone might be in danger. Damn. I hate Lucifer. What are you trying to say? Doug asked, confused. I don't get it. I sighed heavily and dragged my hands down my face. Lucifer wants me on his side because I am a Luna. With me on his side, he would get werewolves on his team as well. It would be a win-win situation for him if he could recruit me. Zale stepped closer and rubbed my shoulder. It's okay. Just breathe, Casey. I groaned in frustration. I don't have time for that, Zale. Don't you see? He's going to try and get the werewolves on his side. With the demons busy fighting the angels, he'll have the werewolves wipe out the humans that don't bow down to him. He knows how powerful angels are, so all the demons will be busy with us. If he doesn't get the werewolves on his side, he sees it as it's going to take longer for him to take over, so he needs you guys to wipe out the humans. This is too much, Sunny groaned as Sterling chuckled at her. Now is not the time to laugh, Sterling. We will get through this, Sterling said in determination. I mean, what werewolf would go on the devil's side? Rouge, Dugsy hid. Now it was my turn to be confused. Why do you say that? Rouges don't have packs. Satan could easily offer them a home if they fight on his side, Doug explained. And if one rogue joins his side, they all could, Cece said nervously. And a rogue pack can grow very quickly. This just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? What's next, huh? Guys, Caitlin came running in with a worried expression on her face. I just had to think that, didn't I? What's wrong, dear? Alvar asked. Rogues at the border, Caitlin gulped. And a lot of them. It's starting, I mumbled in disbelief as I followed everyone out. As we all ran outside, we were met with a huge wall of our warrior wolves growling, ready to fight. Some have already shifted in their wolf form. Alpha, a wolf bowed in respect. I walked past all the wolves and gasped at how many rogues there actually was. There had to at least be 100 or more. No joke. But something seemed different. What are you doing here? Zale's voice boomed throughout the forest. Please. We need your help, Zale growled and took a step forward. I quickly stopped him by putting my hand on his chest and pushing him back slightly. Casey? Zale asked, shocked. I brought my hand back down and walked towards the man. He sniffed the air and gave me a weird look. Who are you? He asked as he put what I believed to be his mate behind him. I stopped walking and looked down at a little girl who whimpered and hid behind her mother. What happened? I asked calmly. The mother put her hand on her daughter's shoulder and looked at me. A creature came. I don't know what it was. I've never seen anything like it. Casey, what are you doing? Zale asked, confused as he walked up to me. They're good guys, I smiled at him. How can you tell? Zale asked as he eyed the woman. Trust me, I know. I smiled as I looked back at the woman and then turned to the man who spoke up first. You can come with us. Zale shrugged and turned around. Let's get you guys cleaned up, though, I mentioned as I took in their ratted clothes and some of them were covered in dirt. What exactly happened? The man sighed as he picked up his daughter. These creatures came in this morning. They attacked. Said that if we didn't go with them, then they would kill us all. Some of our pack went with. They didn't want to die. We ran. We didn't know what to do. They were killing our pack members left and right. What did they look like? I asked, although I already had an answer. Tall. Very tall. Some were all black with markings while others were red. They had horns and wings. The man chuckled to himself. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought they were demons. I gulped and looked away. You didn't deny it, a lady pointed out. Were those really demons? Max sighed. What I'm about to tell you is all true. Those creatures that you saw, those are demons. Very powerful creatures. Like related to the devil? A man asked. Max nodded. Yes. The devil, God. It's all real. We are angels. Everyone gasped. Yeah, we were shocked too, Harvey joked, as Sterling rolled his eyes. Everything that you thought was a fairy tale is actually real, I spoke up. Demons are very powerful. They are not something to be taken lightly. How do you kill them? The man asked. Silver dagger to the heart, I said. I know it sounds easy, but it's not. Everyone needs to get cleaned up, Alvar stated. Zale, you can come with me and we can talk to them and try to figure out what is going on. Zale nodded and turned to me. I'll be right back. I nodded and closed my eyes as Zale kissed my forehead. I love you, Casey. My eyes popped open and looked at him. Zale chuckled and pecked my lips again. I love you too, I smiled. Zale winked and walked away with Alvar. Max scoffed and crossed his arms as he looked away. I rolled my eyes. Here we go again. Guys, Kenward yelled as he flew up to us. What? Max asked, worried. Demons are kidnapping humans. It's all over the news. What? I asked. Kenward nodded. They think they are random kidnappings. But there was a little boy that witnessed a big monster carrying his sister out of the house. Of course, they are saying it was a nightmare and that the kid didn't really see a giant monster. But it's all over the news. Did it say anything else? Kenward nodded. A couple teens and kids have been taken from their homes. Some adults went missing this morning. No one saw anything except for the little boy, but no one is believing him. That's because humans don't know demons exist. Max sighed, and he pinched the bridge of his nose. What is Lucifer doing? I don't know, but we have to find out, I growled. Casey, Kenward said sadly. Something happened. I gave him a confused look. What do you mean something happened? Your house. Kenward paused, but took a deep breath. Your house was on the news. Yellow tape surrounding it. Someone was taken from there. My eyes grew as my heart dropped. No, that's not possible. I shook my head in disbelief. I'm sorry, Casey. Who? I asked quietly, but Kenward stayed quiet and looked at the ground. Who? I yelled louder. I don't know, Kenward sighed. They didn't say on the news. I felt my heart drop even more. What if it was Sammy, or Timmy, or my parents? They won't know what to do. They don't know about the true evils of this world. They won't know how to survive down in hell. As I felt the dread grow, I also felt my anger flare up. I screamed as I felt my wings stretch out and took off towards the sky. Those demons are going to pay. They really messed up now. No one messes with my family. I'm going to kill them all. Casey! Max shouted as he struggled to keep up with me. Once he and Kenward finally did catch up, they both blocked my path. Stop! I grabbed Max's shirt and brought his face closer to mine. I'm going to get my family, and if you ever step in my way again, you will regret it. Max gave me a hard stare. He slowly took my hand off of his shirt. We are coming with you. I nodded and flapped my wings again. I can't believe this is happening. My family. I can't even imagine what they must be thinking right now. We quickly came up to my neighborhood and flew down into an alleyway. When we finished changing forms, we ran out and headed down the sidewalk. I stopped as I saw my house surrounded by yellow tape. I shook my head and kept on walking. Casey, be careful. Kenward reminded as I ducked underneath the tape and opened my front door. It's pretty late, so there shouldn't be anyone here right now. I jumped and hid behind the couch when I heard someone crying. Max and Kenward quickly dropped to the ground as well. I can't believe she's gone, I heard a lady cry. Is that my mom? I peeped up over the couch and saw my parents sitting at the kitchen table. What the heck are they doing here? No one is supposed to be here since it's a crime scene. Wait, did she say she? Oh no. Sammy. I know. First Casey and now Haley, my dad said sadly as he wrapped his arms around my mother. Haley? I whispered. I gasped as I realized that she was the one who was taken. She must have been babysitting Timmy and Sammy. Who are you? I heard a small voice behind me. I screamed as I jumped back and fell on my butt. What the? I heard my dad yell as he came running into the living room. I looked up and saw Timmy and Sammy standing there looking confused. Casey? Sammy whispered. Who the heck are you? My dad yelled as he tried to punch Max. Max groaned as my dad's fist connected with his face. Dad, stop! I yelled. My dad completely froze as he heard my voice. Kenward grabbed Max and pulled him away as my dad continued to stand there. Casey, my mom shakily said as she brought her hands up to cover her mouth in shock. My dad closed his eyes and slowly turned around to face me. I smiled softly at him when he opened his eyes and looked at me. Casey, my dad asked in a whisper. This can't be. My mom stuttered as she kept her hands over her mouth in shock. But, how? My dad asked. He took a step forward, but then froze and shook his head with a frown. This isn't real. This has to be a dream. It's not a dream, Daddy, Sammy yelled as she and Timmy both rushed me. I let out a yelp as I fell to the floor with both of the twins holding onto me for dear life. Casey! Timmy cried. Hey, brats. I chuckled as I felt myself crying a little. I pulled the twins closer and they both stuck their faces in my neck. I slowly got up and set them both down just in time for my mom to run forward and pull me into her famous bear hug. My baby, my mom sobbed as she kept her death grip on me. Hi, Mom, I whispered into her neck. Right as she heard my voice, another sob escaped her mouth and I felt her tears drip onto my shoulder. My mom released me as I heard my dad's footsteps. He carefully approached me and stopped. I gave him a smile and opened my arms. My dad quickly grabbed me and pulled me into him and he started to cry. I can't believe this is real. My dad hiccuped from crying so much. How? I gave him a small laugh as I wiped my eyes. I have some explaining to do. My mom laughed as she too wiped her tears away. Yes, you do, baby. Everyone followed me into the kitchen and the twins pulled up some chairs and sat down. I knew you weren't dead. Sammy smiled as she stared up at me. I sighed and shook my head with a smile. Actually, Sammy, I am dead. Timmy tilted his head in confusion. But you are standing right in front of us. That I am. But I'm an angel. We all are, I mentioned to Max and Kenward. I punched an angel, my dad said with wide eyes as he quickly looked up. I am so sorry, God. I didn't mean to do that. Max laughed. It's okay, Mr. Walker. Please explain. My mom mumbled softly. That night where I died, I woke up in a bed. I was staring at a white ceiling. When I sat up, I pointed to Max. He was staring at me, asking me if I was all right. I was very confused. Later on, everything got explained to me. Your daughter is a hero. Max smiled as he stepped forward. That night where your children were struck by the drunk driver, she saved Sammy and Timmy. If Casey didn't do what she did, they wouldn't have survived. But that doesn't explain how she became an angel, my dad stated. What your daughter did was heroic. She became an angel of the Lord because she saved Sammy and Timmy. She didn't hesitate when she put her life in danger to save her siblings. God saw what she did, and he was proud. He knew all along that Casey was special, and that night proved it even more. He had a plan for your daughter, and turning her into an angel was the right thing to do. Max smiled as he looked down at me. She has saved so many lives since she became an angel. Oh, my baby, my mom cried as she held onto Dad's arm. My dad smiled and pulled her close. We've always known Casey was special, my dad whispered as he teared up a bit. We never doubted that one bit. I don't remember much of the crash, Sammy spoke up as she looked at Timmy, who nodded. But I do know that you saved us, and I thank you every day. I smiled as I put my hand on Sammy's shoulder. I know. I can hear your prayers every night. Could you hear mine? Timmy asked with a wide smile. I chuckled as I nodded. Yes, I can. You've been an angel all this time? My dad asked. I nodded. Ever since the night that I died. I was training for about 3 years. Learning combat, how to fly, how to use my armor and weapons. You can fly? Sammy asked. No way! Timmy shouted. I laughed as I quickly changed into my angel form and stretched out my wings. Your hair is different, Timmy stated. This is my true form now, I explained. My human form is just a cover for when I come to Earth. I looked up and my parents were looking at me in shock. You look beautiful, Casey. My mom smiled as some more tears leaked from her eyes. I'm so proud of you, honey, my dad said softly. So proud of you. Thank you, guys, I whispered as I brought my wings back in. As much as I hate having to ruin this moment, we need to get back on track. Max sighed. What do you mean, back on track? My dad asked. I seed. Haley, you know? My dad asked. I nodded. Demons are kidnapping humans. We don't know what for, but we do know it's happening. Demons? My mom asked, shocked. They're real? Kenward nodded once. So is Lucifer. Humans refer to him as Satan. Sammy and Timmy, my mom called out. Will you two please go upstairs? They both nodded and got off the chairs. Come on, guys. Kenward smiled. I'll go up with you. Can we see your wings? Sammy and Timmy asked simultaneously. Of course, Kenward laughed as he walked with them up the stairs. Once the twins were out of range, my mom spoke up again. Demons kidnapped Haley? I nodded. Lucifer is planning a war. He is kidnapping humans all over the globe. We don't know what he is doing with them, so it has to be something big. But we do know that he is planning on trying to take over the world. He is going to kill anyone who tries to get in his way. What can we do? My mom asked worriedly. Max sighed. I'm afraid you can't do anything. You just have to pray and don't give up. My dad pulled my mom closer to him and she sighed as she rested her head on his shoulder. I'm just glad that we have you back, Casey. My dad smiled as my mom nodded. I smiled back. I'm not going anywhere. All the angels grabbed their weapons and went into formation. Are you ready? Max asked as he continued to sharpen his dagger. I nodded. More than I will ever be. I'm getting Haley back if it's the last thing I do. Casey, Max sighed. Don't, I snapped. What if she isn't alive? I said don't, I yelled as I pointed my dagger at him. She is alive. I know it. Max is right, Kenward sighed sadly. The odds of her being alive is very slim. You have to prepare for the worst, kid. I scoffed. I have faith that she is alive and I'm not going to let that go. I stuffed my dagger into the pouch and stormed off. Who do they think they are? Saying that about Haley. I sighed as I got into formation. They are probably right, though. Lucifer isn't the type to be merciful and kind. The odds of her still being alive are very slim. I shook my head. What are you thinking, Casey? Haley is strong. She's a fighter. She has to be alive. Are you all ready? The general shouted. Yes, sir. Everyone, including me, replied. You all need to be careful. This isn't our normal fight. This is a war. Some will fall, but they will fall fighting for God. And that is the best way to go. Have faith and hold on to it. God is with us and we have each other. We will not be alone in this fight. Watch out for your brothers and sisters and fight as hard as you can, the general said sternly before he put a small smile on his face. God is proud of all of you. All the angels hollered as they put their swords in the air. Now, the general said. He stood straight. Are you ready to win this war? The angels hollered again and stretched their wings out. Now let's go kick some demon behind, he shouted as he ran out of the building and jumped down from the clouds. The rest of us followed and we pulled our wings in so we could go faster as we shot down to earth. Go to your sections, the general yelled. Yes, sir, we yelled back. All the angels got into their groups and turned in different directions. Casey, let's go, Max yelled. I nodded and brought my wings back out as we made a sharp turn. A bunch of other angels and I followed Max as we flew to our section. Luckily, the general gave me the section that holds Zale's pack. And boy, was explaining that you have a werewolf mate to angels was not easy. Even though they are all right with this, some think that it's not possible, but they don't mind. I was granted permission to go see him whenever I wanted, just as long as I didn't blow my cover or let it get in the way of training. Their one rule was that he or anyone from the pack was not allowed in heaven. Well, that and everyone in the pack had to keep it a secret, which is very understandable, and I wasn't going to let anyone come up there anyway. They were pleased and said that I have the go-ahead to be with him. I smiled at the memory but got serious again as we approached Zale's territory. Oddly enough, his pack was so big that his entire territory was its own section. Casey, Doug shouted. Hello, I said politely as we landed. Zale is in the hall with some warriors, Doug said as if reading my mind. Then he turned to Max. We had one demon show up. We took him out, but it was very easy. What do you mean? Max asked. Doug shrugged. I don't know, Maximus. He didn't even put up a fight. That's not right, Max mumbled as he looked over at Kenward, who shrugged. Fine. We'll worry about that later. What we need to worry about is getting this whole section under control. I need angels and wolves to be put surrounding the whole border in every direction. I want them to spread out, but not too far. Everyone needs to have a visual on each other. I don't want anyone to be alone, no matter how skilled they are. And everyone needs to have a weapon on them then. Kenward chimed in as Zale and some other wolves ran over to us. Even the wolves. I know you guys can shift and you are very strong in wolf form, but teeth alone won't do anything to a demon. You have to have silver with you. That is the only way to kill them. Zale nodded. We have silver bullets and daggers made out of silver as well. Remember, aim for the heart. Anywhere else will only slow them down, I reminded. Wait. How can you hold the daggers and the guns? Gloves. Zale smiled as he and some others held their hands up. We have thick leather gloves. The daggers have a cloth around the handles, and the guns are made of a different metal so we can hold them. We just can't touch the bullets or the blades. I sighed in relief and he came over and hugged me. Hey, you, Zale laughed. Hey, I smiled. Break up the love fest, Caitlin laughed. Sunny went to go speak, but a loud growl cut her off. What I think it was? Sterling asked as he gulped. Get in position, Max yelled. I watched the angels flew up and the wolves shifted. Everyone flew and ran to their spots, including us. Stay close to me, Zale growled as he shifted while running. I nodded and flew faster so I could keep up with him. He runs fast. I heard a scream and I watched as an angel was thrown over my head and slammed into a tree. I was about to turn around and help him, but Alvar beat me to it. Go, she screamed as she picked him up and flew back to the pack house, I assume. You messed up, I said to myself as I saw the demon throw another angel. Hey, ugly. The demon stopped and turned around to face me just as my fist connected with his face. He screamed out in pain as he fell backward and I circled back to him. Right as he stood up, my fist connected with his face again. I watched as his back hit the ground and a couple of wolves jumped on top of him. He shouted as their teeth dug into his shoulder. Hold him! I shouted as the demon struggled to get free. I grabbed my dagger and flew straight down towards him. Just as I was about to get to him, I felt something hit me. I landed on the ground and rolled a couple feet. I looked up and saw a demon smirk at me. That little pest threw a boulder at me. I growled to myself and picked up my dagger. The demon that was being held by the wolves got free and threw them off of him. Are you guys all right? I asked as I looked at everyone. They all nodded and Zale growled at the demons. I looked up and saw several demons walk out. You have got to be kidding me, Kenward mumbled, pissed off. Hello, children, a demon said as he gave us a toothy grin. I think I'm going to throw up, I mumbled. Rude, the demon spat. I rolled my eyes at him and jumped up. I flapped my wings and grabbed my sword. He hissed in pain and I sliced through his bicep. I flew up to avoid a fist as another demon tried to punch me. The wolves howled and charged to fight. Zale, I shouted just as a demon tried to step on him. Zale quickly dodged and jumped forward to bite the demon's foot. The demon tried to kick Zale off, but he held on tight. I flew down to help him out. While the demon was occupied with Zale, I held my sword tight and aimed straight for his heart. I smiled in victory as my sword pierced his chest and the demon's eyes got huge. He coughed and tried to get the sword out. He was too late, and he slowly stopped moving and fell backward into a pile of dust. Nicely done, I smiled at Zale. He winked and shot off in another direction to help his fellow members. We continued to fight for what felt like hours, but as I stabbed another demon in the heart, the rest stopped fighting and took a couple steps back. I gasped and jumped back as red smoke filled the air. What the? I asked, confused, as I shielded my face from the harsh wind and the smoke slowly disappeared. The ground shook and we all tried to keep our balance. When everything calmed down, there stood a man. A very handsome man, might I add. Nice suit, black hair, and piercing red eyes. Nice to meet you, Casey. The man smiled and showed off his pearly whites. I narrowed my eyes at him and Max stepped in front of me. Lucifer, Max spat. Some angels flew towards him with their swords drawn. Lucifer tesked and shook his head. With a snap of his fingers, I watched, shocked, as the angels burned in the air. Their ashes flew everywhere. I gripped my sword harder, and I'm pretty sure steam was leaving my ears. You do know this can all be avoided. Lucifer smiled as he looked around at all of the angels and wolves. All you have to do is join my team, and your lives will be spared. Go to hell, I shouted. Oh, honey, I run that place. He winked at me. I felt disgusted as his red eyes stared at me. Zale growled possessively as he ran over to me. Lucifer smirked. So much love flows through you two. I never understood it. But true love is such an unbreakable bond and nothing can destroy that, no matter how hard you try. Zale growled again as a warning. Lucifer chuckled and put his hand up. Calm down, Mutt. I'm here for a proposition. And what could that possibly be? Kenward asked. Come join me. Lucifer smiled. Can you imagine? Wolves and angels fighting with me? All the treasures of the world are yours. No more rules. We will control the entire world. I'd rather die than join you. Maximus spat. Lucifer's face hardened. Kenward and Maximus charged Lucifer. They brought their swords out and got ready to swing. Right as they were about to get to Lucifer, he disappeared. What? Maximus asked as he looked around. Where did he go? Kenward shouted as he too looked around. Boo! Lucifer laughed as he appeared behind Max. No! I shouted, flying towards him as Lucifer grabbed Max's dagger and shoved it into his back. Max! Kenward yelled. A demon grabbed Max before he got there and threw him back against a tree. I gasped as I got smacked out of the air and landed on the ground. Every time I moved, I had a shooting pain go through my body. I finally got enough energy and stood up. Lucifer chuckled as Max's body fell to the ground. So be it. You sick man! I yelled as tears ran down my face. I ran towards Max's body and Lucifer just laughed as he walked away. Thank you, darling. All he did was wink at me. To show how much I want you on my team, I'll give you a little gift to help you consider my offer. I shielded my face as a gust of wind formed, but I saw Haley fall to the ground. Haley! I shouted as I ran over to her. She groaned in pain as she tried to hold herself up. Stop moving, I whispered as I pulled her to me. I laid her head on my lap. I'm so glad you're okay. Until we meet again, my dear. Lucifer winked as he disappeared into thin air. I watched as the last of the demons disappeared and the chaos stopped. No! I shouted as I placed Haley softly on the ground and ran over to the spot where Lucifer was standing. No! Casey, he's gone, Zale softly said as he wrapped his arms around me. No! I shouted as I pushed him away. He can't be gone! He killed Max! Casey! Alvar shouted as she hugged me. It's going to be okay. No, it won't, I sniffed. Lucifer will pay. Come here, Zale said sadly as he held his arms out. Alvar let me go and I walked over to Zale. He wrapped his arms around me and pulled me close to him. We'll get him next time. This isn't over, I mumbled as I looked over at Max's body on the ground. I mean it. I will find you, Lucifer, and I will avenge Maximus's death. I stood there in silence as we watched Max's body burn. I had so many emotions running through me. I've never felt this way before. I felt anger, sadness, misery, betrayal flowing through my veins. My eyes narrowed, and I felt my fists clench as I watched the flames dance around his body. I can't believe this happened. Kenward sniffed and rubbed my shoulder. It should have been me, I mumbled as I squeezed my eyes shut. Casey, Kenward said sadly, you can't think like that. I could have been quicker, I mumbled to myself. I could have stopped Max. It's all my fault. You couldn't have known that was going to happen, Casey. I shook my head. I should have attacked Lucifer, not him. Kenward went to go say something, but I shrugged his hand off my shoulder. Let her go, I heard Alvar quietly say as I walked away. I could hear the crackle of the fire get quieter and quieter as I continued to walk. Once I was out of the yard, I broke down. Max's death kept replaying over and over in my head. He died protecting us all. I know that was his job, but he shouldn't have done that. I should have been the one to go. Lucifer wanted me, not him. I wish I could go back in time and stop Max from doing what he did. It wasn't his time just yet. He still had so much left to do. He wanted to see his wife and kid one last time just to see how they were doing. But now, he'll never get that chance. I remember all the pranks that Kenward and I would pull on Max. I giggled at the thought. Kenward always told Max that he needed to smile more and not take his duties in life so seriously. Max would just roll his eyes and say that he does smile, and then would proceed to tell the worst dad joke known to mankind. He would start to make himself laugh, whereas Kenward and I would look at each other and give an awkward laugh. Max thought he was one of the funniest people he knew. More and more memories flooded my mind. The time when Max was there to teach me how to fly, and of course my very first day as an angel. Everything was dark as I looked around. What is going on, I said to myself. It was like a switch went off as I started to move. I screamed as I started to spiral down to the ground. My eyes went wide as it started to get closer. I'm gonna die. I shut my eyes waiting for the impact, but it never came. I slowly opened one eye and looked around. Everything was white. I looked down and both of my eyes shot open. Am I sitting on a cloud? I exclaimed as I jumped off of it. Yes, you are, dear, I heard a giggle. I screamed and quickly turned around. I ended up tripping over one of my feet and I fell back down. The lady and a man with black hair laughed, whereas the other man just rolled his eyes at me and crossed his arms. How does she expect to be one of us if she can't even walk correctly? The man with gray hair sneered at me. I glared at him. Well, excuse me. I've never been on a cloud before. Ooh, I like her. She's feisty. Black-haired guy laughed as he stuck his hand out to help me. I'm Kenward. Casey, I mumbled as I looked over his shoulder at the crowd that was gathering around us. Nice to meet you, Kenward smiled. This right here is Alvar and that grumpy man is Max. It's Maximus to you, he said with an edge. I don't like him. She looks so young. Oh, her poor parents. I wonder what happened. Is she going to be a guardian? I gulped as I heard some of the chatter that was going around the crowd, but the last one caught my attention. Guardian? What is that? Can I ask where I am? I asked quietly. Oh, Alvar blushed. Silly us. You're in heaven, dear. I stared at her for a second before I busted out laughing. Oh my gosh, that's funny, I laughed, wiping a tear from my eye. Ha, you said I'm in heaven. That's gold. I'm not kidding, dear, Alvar said, concerned as she looked at Maximus and Kenward. I got this, Maximus said. I watched amazed as he started to glow and 2 giant wings came out. You, Angel, I mumbled as everything turned black. Is she alive? A gentle voice asked. I groaned as I sat up and rubbed the back of my throbbing head. Yeah, she's alive, Kenward laughed. What happened? I asked. You fainted when I showed you my true form, Maximus informed me. Oh, right. I let out a nervous chuckle. You're an angel. We all are, Maximus corrected. And so are you. What? I screamed. He was about to open his mouth, but the door opened. There you are, Maximus, a short man yelled, running in. I was looking everywhere for you. Has the new angel arrived yet? I watched as everyone pointed to me, and the short man turned around. He smiled as he ran up to give me a hug. Ah, Casey. Nice to finally meet you. I've heard such great things about you. You have? I asked, shocked. How do you know me? God has told me so much about you. God? I stuttered. As in, the big man upstairs? The one and only. He nodded. That's great and all, but where are my parents? I want to go home now, I stated, scared. Caesar looked at me confused. She fainted before we got the chance to tell her, Maximus informed Caesar. Casey. Caesar gave me a sad look. I felt all the color drain from my face. I think she is going to faint again, Alvar said worriedly. What's the last thing you remember? Caesar asked me carefully. I mumbled as I closed my eyes to think. I was driving to the movies with my little brother and sister. Caesar sighed. You don't remember then, which is common. Some remember the incident and others have no clue. What do you mean? I asked as I opened my eyes and looked at everyone giving me sad looks. What are you guys not telling me? You're dead, Casey, Caesar said softly. Your car was hit by a drunk driver. What? I asked. I couldn't believe this. I'm Diad? That doesn't make any sense. He nodded. You saw him, but it was too late. You saved your siblings, but when he hit. He sighed sadly. When he hit your car, you died on impact. Your brother and sister made it out with only a couple of scratches and some bruises. You mean to tell me I'm dead? I slumped back against the pillows. This can't be happening. I looked at everyone's faces. They all held pain, sadness, anger, and disbelief. I was shocked to even see Maximus look like he wanted to cry. I'm guessing Caesar was the only one who knew what happened. How do you know all this when I don't remember any of this? I asked. God told me, Caesar said. Caesar is one of the few angels who can talk to God directly, Maximus explained. You have to be pretty high up in power to have that ability. Caesar is one of the very first angels, so you have to be pretty special to talk to him, huh? I joked. Yeah, I guess so, Caesar laughed. But before you start training, you need to have a tour of heaven and know the rules. Training? I asked. There's a lot you don't know, kid, Maximus stated. But come on. I'm going to give you the tour and also show you where you'll be staying. You don't have to, Maximus. I can show her, Caesar said, confused. I know, Maximus simply stated. I smirked. And here I thought you didn't like me. Maximus rolled his eyes and I saw his lips turn upward in a small smile, but he quickly turned so I wouldn't see it. I don't. Sure you don't, Max, Kenward laughed. Shut it, Maximus snapped. Now hurry up, Casey. Heaven is pretty big and we still have to go over all the rules. Coming, I shouted, running after Maximus. I looked around the building. Who knows, maybe I'll end up liking this place. I sighed as the realization hit. I'm dead. I won't be able to see my family or friends. This is going to suck. I brought myself back to reality and stared at the ground. I shot up from the ground with a scream and punched the closest thing to me, which happened to be a tree. I watched as the roots broke from the earth and the tree flew through the air. I cringed as the tree landed on a building. I gulped and let out a nervous laugh as a bunch of wolves turned around and looked at me in shock. Sorry, I shouted, embarrassed. Darn, Casey. Zale laughed. I can fix that, I mumbled. Zale laughed again and pulled me close to him. It's okay. Don't worry about it, baby. I sighed and rested my forehead against his chest. I miss him. I do too, Kase. Even if he didn't like me that much, Zale mumbled. I saw how much he cared about you and how much he meant to you. He was like a second dad to me, I admitted. He took me under his wing, and not just during training. Outside of training, he was always there for me, and he helped me through so much. Zale pulled back slightly. It's going to be okay, Casey. Trust me. It's going to hurt for a while. I'm not going to lie to you. But that's okay because I'm going to be right here with you, forever and always. I smiled as I quickly wiped a tear from my cheek. I love you, Zale. I love you too, Casey, Zale whispered softly as he placed a kiss on my forehead.